This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The big show's on the radio. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello to you. And how do you do, Upstate South Carolina? And, of course, around the world, it is great to be with you once again. I am Rob Brown. Hello. Hope everything is going exceptionally well all across Radio Land. Back in the network studio, the Alpha and the Omega of ESPN Upstate, the conductor of the Symphony of Sound that is the Rob Brown Show. He is responsible for everything that happens on the air here. So if you like it, he gets all the credit. If you don't, he gets all the blame. He is the quarterback of the show, the great one, Lonzo, in charge of the broadcast. What up, Zo? Happy WrestleMania Friday, amigo.
Sup, yo? How's things?
Oh, just doing it. Just doing the thing. You know how we do.
I am glad it is WrestleMania weekend, especially after last night.
Yes, I am finishing up, as we speak, as a matter of fact, finishing up Cole v. O'Reilly. And I think that's the last match of the card.
It's rather lengthy.
It is. Apparently. I've been watching TakeOver for the better part of 2.5 hours now, I think, as the night number 2 took place yesterday evening on Peacock. Of course, that leads us up to Friday Night SmackDown tonight. WrestleMania nights 1 and 2 are tomorrow and Sunday evening, respectively. Last hour of the show, we are going to talk quite a bit of wrestling today, including a segment that I am going to currently spring on Lonzo and give him 2 hours to prepare for. I got asked last night, Zoe, as I was talking about the fact that yours truly will be spending an equal amount of time on golf and professional wrestling, two sports on very opposite ends of the spectrum. And a friend of mine asked me, how and why is it that you still watch and enjoy professional wrestling? And I thought about it quite a bit, Zoe, and I want to answer that question. I want to attempt to answer that question. So the final hour of the show, look, it's the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. So the final hour of the show for WrestleMania Friday, we're going to talk wrestling. We're going to have some fun with it. Zoe and I are going to answer the question, why it is that we like wrestling. We're just going to lay it all out there. And for those of you that are not fans, hear us out. See what you think. See if it makes sense to you. Maybe we'll win some people over today on the show. But before we get there, we got a lot of other stuff to get to and talk about on the broadcast today, including in a perfectly timed coincidence, including a call yesterday that cost a team a baseball game that illustrated perfectly why, despite Lonzo's fear of Skynet coming to reality, exactly why robo-umps need to be put into the game. Zoe asked yesterday, how many games have had the outcome dictated by a bad, nay, atrocious call that could have been corrected by a robo-ump? And we got that answer as a game yesterday had the direct outcome altered. And we're going to tell you about that. We're going to talk about that coming up in a little while. Frank Martin putting in work in the offseason. I think Frankie knows that his job, if he is not done already, the hot seat is absolutely scorching right now. But Frankie M is putting in work for the Gamecocks right now and taking heavy advantage of the transfer portal. We're going to tell you about that, as he's now got 2 young men already signed through the transfer portal and a potential enormous pickup coming down the pipe from the transfer portal. We'll talk about that coming up in a little while and a whole lot more. 844-GSP-ESPN is the number. 844-GSP-ESPN. 844-477-3776. 844-GSP-ESPN is the number. And hit us on the Twitter at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, and at ESPN Upstate. All the different ways for you to get in touch with us on the broadcast today. Plus, join our live stream. Go to Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Watch the live stream. Participate with Zoe and I behind the scenes. We'll be having conversations off the air about who knows what today. Join us on the live stream, Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, and YouTube.com/The Rob Brown Show. With all of that being said, Lonzo, let's start the show by doing that little thing that we do.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys hear? Scuttlebutt.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch! Lunch!
It is time for the lunch breakdown. The three things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers, or the wall, whoever you spend your lunch break with each and every afternoon. These are the three biggest items that you need in the back pocket to talk some sports with your friends. We start with item number one. Up to Charlotte we go, the home of your Carolina Panthers. Reports coming out from yahoosports.com and others that the Panthers have already found multiple teams that are interested in making a trade for Teddy Bridgewater. After the Panthers acquired Sam Darnold, they gave Teddy B permission to seek a trade, and the reports are that he has successfully done that so far. Now, there is one holdup, one problem, one reason that Teddy B is not already under contract elsewhere, and that is that no one is interested on trading for Teddy Bridgewater on his current contract. He has a contract which pays him $17 million worth of base salary for 2021, $10 million of which is guaranteed, meaning that if Teddy B wants to be traded successfully, he will need to take a pay cut to get that deal done. Bridgewater may be willing to take a pay cut if it helps to facilitate a trade, and that gives him basically de facto control over the trade, much like Deshaun Watson had with his no-trade contract in the Deshaun Watson 2021 we've been talking about. If Bridgewater wants to go to a team, it may make him inclined to take a pay cut. If he has no interest in going to a team, Teddy B can just refuse to take a pay cut. That team will not be interested in picking up that contract, which means that trade will likely not go through, and Teddy B would just show up in Charlotte for training camp and likely be cut just before the start of the season, at which point he may not be able to find a team where he'd be able to contribute this season, at least not as a starter, which he is looking for, I am sure, though realistically, it's unlikely that Bridgewater will be a starter this season, but he could be a very valuable veteran backup for a team with a young starter, and we know there will be at least 3 or 4 of those teams this season. So basically, and we've talked about this a little bit, Zoe, while Teddy Bridgewater is willing to be traded, and while the Carolina Panthers are willing to trade him, likely to try to recoup some of the draft picks that they have given up for Sam Darnold, at the end of the day, if Teddy Bridgewater is unwilling to step off of that $10 million guaranteed $17 million contract, then more likely what will happen is that he'll be carried on the roster until training camp, and Carolina will just cut their losses with him, pay out the guaranteed $10 million, eat the cap hit, and find another veteran backup, unless Teddy Bridgewater is willing to serve as a backup for the Panthers behind Sam Darnold, which I got to tell you, if my options were do that or not play, and I'm Teddy Bridgewater, you're running out of time, I might just go ahead and accept the backup role for a year, and the anticipation that, hey, maybe Darnold isn't the guy Carolina thought he was. Maybe I'll get one more chance with the Panthers midway through this season.
It all comes down to, if he believes himself to be a starter, which of course he believes himself to be a starter, and if he has the opportunity to get traded somewhere where he could be a starter again, he probably will take the pay cut to do it, to prove himself. He looked good at New Orleans. He didn't look that great last year, but he didn't look he wasn't the worst quarterback in the league.
Not at all.
So I mean, if someone like Denver or some team like that's looking for, you take that, you take the pay cut if it's not too extreme, and go prove yourself again. So it's better than being cut. It's better than being a backup if you believe you have the stuff to still be a starter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where things will indeed get interesting. The question is going to be, how strongly does Teddy Bridgewater feel that he is still capable of being a starting quarterback in this league? If the answer is very, then he may very well decide that he will, I don't know, does he gamble on himself? And that's the question. And it's not so much about what Teddy Bridgewater is going to do, but about how it impacts the Carolina Panthers. If indeed Teddy B is willing to gamble on himself and the Panthers can find a trade partner who say, all right, instead of a $17 million contract with $10 million, we'll give you a $10 million contract with $5 million guaranteed and go from there. If a team says yes to that and Teddy Bridgewater is indeed willing to gamble on himself, then I think at that point, there is the possibility that Carolina may actually be able to recoup some of the draft picks they gave up for Sam Darnold. If he is not willing to bet on himself and take a pay cut and a lesser contract, then Carolina may just very, very well have to accept that they gave up some draft picks for Sam Darnold and be understanding of that fact. We'll circle back around to that later on in the show. Item number 2, the Masters. Round 1 is in the books and round 2 is underway. Your clubhouse leader, your clubhouse leader last night before we started round 1 was Justin Rose, who had a fabulous day on the course. 7 under 64 on the day. Looked great. 65 on the day. Looked phenomenal. Not so hot of a start today. Through 9, Justin Rose has given 3 of them back. He is still in the lead at 4 under, but gave back a bunch of strokes to start the round off today. Bernd Weisberger is in second right now. He's all square with Tony Finau and Brian Harman. Harman will hit the course coming up in just a minute from now, as a matter of fact. His tee time was scheduled at 12:12. Looks like they're just a couple of minutes behind, sending guys out. Weisberger is 5 under on the day. How about my dude? +2 yesterday, 5 under on the day through 14. He turned in a 74 +2 yesterday, sitting at 3 under right now. Brian Harman and Hideki Matsuyama also at 3 under. Matsuyama will take off at 1 o'clock after also having a very, very good day yesterday. Mark Leishman, the Aussie, oi, 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 is at 2 under through 2. Shot an even 72 yesterday. 2 under through 11 today. Jordan Spieth having himself a decent day today. He was 1 under yesterday, carding a 71. He's 1 under today through 5, looking to recapture a bit of that magic. Michael Thompson, 2 under through 4. He is 2 under on the tournament. So is Will Zalatoris, Webb Simpson, Patrick Reed, all at 2 under. Tommy Fleetwood recorded an ace yesterday in a 2 over 74 effort, knocked in the 23rd hole-in-one in Masters history, but still ended up +274 on the day. However, he is 3 under through 8 today, so -1 overall, all square with Tony Finau, Cameron Smith. Colin Morikawa is 2 under on the day through 4, bringing him to a -1 as he carded a 1 over 73 yesterday. Some other big names on the leaderboard right now. Justin Thomas is even. John Rahm is even. He'll hit the course at 148 alongside playing partner Xander Schauffele, who is also even after both carded an even 72 yesterday. Martine Laird, Robert McIntyre, both at +1. Laird done for the day. He was +2 yesterday, -1 today. McIntyre is through 13 at 1 under. Scotty Scheffler is +1 right now. Stuart Sink +1 right now. So is Heinrich Stenson. Matt Wallace. Shane Lowry is +2 right now. So is Ian Poulter, yet to hit the course. Charles Schwartzel, Brooks Koepka, a +274 yesterday. An interesting one to keep an eye on. Remember, he had knee surgery just a few days ago. Folks were questioning whether that knee would hold up. He said he feels just fine after a +274 yesterday. And I'll tell you, And we're going to talk with Savanna Leigh coming up at 1:20 this afternoon about how round one went and how round two is playing out so far. But anybody with a 74 or below yesterday is pretty much still in contention. Brooks Koepka is 2 over, so is Bubba Watson. They'll hit the course at 112. DJ, or Dustin Johnson, 74 yesterday, going out at 136 this afternoon in his title defense. Jose Maria Olazabal is +3. Francesco Molinari is there as well. Billy Horschel, Adam Scott, Bernard Longer, all at +3. Under the cut line right now, the cut line is set projected at +3 after today's round. Those in danger of missing the cut: Matt Kuchar is 4 over. So is Phil Mickelson. Bryson DeChambeau turned in a +4, 76 yesterday. He is even through 6 today. He's going to have some work to do on the back nine. Louis Oosthuizen is in danger of missing the cut. Sergio Garcia, Rory McIlroy, also 4 over. So is Jason Day. Zach Johnson is +7 after carding a 78 yesterday, and he's +2 through 10 today. So it looks like his weekend will come to its conclusion. Patrick Cantlay, a +7, 79 yesterday, and +2 through 7 today. He is just about done. Vijay Singh, a +8 on the round today. After carding a 79 yesterday and 80 today, leaves Vijay at +15, and Larry Mize is +16. So those guys will be going home as well. So that's where we stand right now on the Masters leaderboard. Again, at 1:20, we will check in with Miss Savanna Leigh of the Brunswick News, our PGA Tour insider, to get her thoughts on how the round is shaping up. And finally, item number 3, a special court order in the Deshaun Watson case came through early this morning. A Harris County judge ruled that one of the plaintiffs suing Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson must ID herself by refiling her lawsuit with her name attached. The original lawsuit filed by Tony Busby was filed on behalf of Jane Doe anonymously. In the 22 lawsuits filed against Watson alleging sexual assault and inappropriate conduct, only 2 women have been publicly identified. The ruling was made by Judge Deidre Davis in the 270th District Court. A similar hearing regarding at least 12 other cases is set for noon today. We will look for the results of that to drop at some point during the show. During the hearing this morning, Watson's attorney, Rusty Hardin, accused Busby of using the women's anonymity to, quote, kill the reputation of our client, end quote. Busby argued that keeping the woman's name private is common in cases dealing with allegations of sexual assault. Busby also told Davis that another woman who decided to be named publicly was already receiving death threats. Busby asked that the name be released to Hardin and his legal team, but that they should not make her identity public. Davis disagreed, saying Busby's legal team might be getting an unfair advantage in the case because of his use of media coverage. Davis said, quote, we need a balance of interest. A balance of interest is required for both parties. Hardin filed the emergency motion Thursday, saying Mr. Busby's, quote, use of anonymous lawsuits violates Texas law and the basic concept of fairness. While I understand that anonymity often is used as a shield for victims, Mr. Busby is using it as a sword. While shielding his clients from public scrutiny, Mr. Busby continues to use their anonymous allegations to destroy Mr. Watson. This is simply not right, and we look forward to resolving these matters in court. In response to that motion, Busby's law firm wrote that the effort was, quote, a blatantly transparent attempt to further traumatize, humiliate, and embarrass brave women who have come forward to seek justice for their assault, sexual assault, and harassment at the hands of a serial predator, end quote. Dallas-based attorney Michelle Simpson Tugel told ESPN's John Barr that Texas law leaves the decision of identifying adults making sexual assault accusations to the discretion of the court. So this decision makes sense in the eyes of Texas law. Simpson Tugel said, quote, the way I explain it to my clients is that there's not a 100% chance their name won't appear in a public file. I tell them I'm going to fight for it to remain under a pseudonym, but I want my clients to know that it is a possibility. But one of the bigger developments today is that in a statement, NFL spokesperson Brian McCarthy called the allegations against Watson, quote, deeply disturbing, end quote, and noting that the NFL, quote, takes these issues very seriously, end quote. McCarthy said the league has indeed launched an investigation under its personal conduct policy last month after the first allegations, and that the NFL is continuing to closely monitor all developments in the matter, end quote. So, Zoe, we have had a number of people who have asked us on the air, why isn't the NFL launching an investigation? And now we found out that earlier this week, they indeed have. So they are taking this seriously, which leads me to believe Deshaun will end up on the commissioner's non-exempt list probably sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. I'm also surprised about, well, not surprised, the fact that the women don't want their names out there, and that people are dumb enough to throw death threats at them. I mean, that's just it's ridiculous. Whether what they're saying is true or not, you can't be doing that stuff. It just makes you ashamed of the world sometimes.
I'm going to tell you this though: if you are shocked that people are throwing death threats at these women, I wish I had your faith in humanity and optimism. I wish I had your heart of gold, because I am 0% shocked by that. It doesn't surprise me at all. I have a personal story of mine that took that optimism away from me years ago. It is depressing. It is heartbreaking. If it is true, which I would not be shocked if it is, that is why so many women wish to remain anonymous through the course of this. We'll break this down further with our very not lawyer brains coming up later on in the show. My name is Rob Brown. He is Lonzo. We are stacked to the walls with stuff to talk about today. So let's have a little fun. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. Back right after this on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your...
Damn, Keegan. You just coming at me today, huh? All right. Listen, being misidentified for Al Borland, I take that as a compliment. Thank you very much. I take that as a compliment, Keegan.
I just want to say that Al Borland, I get, but the Brawny guy is Diesel. No matter what you say, it is Diesel. It has been Diesel for years. With the beard, the look, and he does wear flannel on occasion. And it's like, look, I've been tempted to bring in a roll of Brawny and just take a side-by-side picture, but I'm not sure he'd go for that.
Of all the things that people have made fun of my shirts for, Zoe, I'm most flattered by this one. This one's not even an insult. This is a testament. I appreciate it.
Two manly dudes. I mean, Al Borland for sure. And one thing about Al Borland, that dude could get things done.
Absolutely. Al Borland was a man's man.
Very technically savvy. And yeah.
Put up with Tim for all those years.
I was going to say I'm very patient.
Yep. After the 300th time Tim the Toolman Taylor almost electrocuted himself live on television, for Al to keep going. Either that or the paychecks for tool time were very good.
Some of us who do some iffy things on occasion that without thought, you need a guy like that around with you, or girl, it doesn't matter. You need someone like that around to help keep you grounded, to help go, hey man, you probably shouldn't do that. But if you do, I'll be there to help pick up the pieces. You need that guy.
We all need a Lisa in our lives.
Yes, we do. You know what else I need? I need someone to clean out my email for me. I need that. I got another notification that your email box is almost full, and I think maybe a decade worth of stuff is probably too much. I've been trying to clean it out, but I'm just so busy, and there should be a button where it just automatically eliminates anything that's after so many years old. Maybe there is a button and I just don't know about it. If you know of that button, please let me know. Somebody. I'm tired of getting these messages.
How many of those 10-year-old emails are unopened?
Oh no, I don't have any unopened email. So yeah, I mean, everything's opened. It's just stuff at the time that I thought I needed and didn't move to a cabinet. And I tried to move all the way back to the oldest one, and my email is going, man, we can't go back that far. Sorry. You'll have to do it on your own. Or I can do what I did like the last couple of times and ask engineering and corporate to increase the size of my email box.
Yeah. I'm actually shocked it's not as small as it is, to tell you the truth.
Mine's not. It has been expanded a couple times.
Opinions wanted.
Well, opinions are like, we'll say, everybody has one.
Call 844-GSP-ESPN. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, you. Be a part of the program, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. Text line dead so far. Wake it up, y'all. Want to hear your thoughts on everything we've talked about so far. So the Deshaun Watson story, we saw it grow just a little bit. A judge earlier this morning has declared at least one of the women who have filed lawsuits against Deshaun Watson must come forward and identify herself, refiling the lawsuit with her identity in said lawsuit. There is a second hearing taking place right now down in Houston where there are at least 12 more lawsuits where Deshaun's legal team are trying to demand that Tony Busby's legal team, who are representing these women, must identify the women who have filed the lawsuits. As soon as we get word on the ruling out of that hearing that is taking place this morning, we will bring that information to you. Pardon me. So one comment that I've heard a couple of times, and I read it this morning on Twitter when this announcement was made, was somebody saying, well, why wouldn't these women be forced to identify themselves already? Why would these women not be forced to have identified themselves when they filed the lawsuit? And listen, I'm going to tell you straight up, I am not taking anything that Tony Busby's legal team says as gospel, nor am I taking anything that Rusty Harden's legal team says as gospel. I will believe what is presented with hard evidence in front of a judge when these things go to court. But I will tell you through personal experience why it is that these women find themselves in the position that they want to file lawsuits anonymously. And the reason is this: when I was in high school, I had a young woman who I was dear friends with. She was in our marching band, played flute. I'm obviously not going to give her name. We're going to call her, I'll pick a name that has the same letter to start. We're going to call her, for the sake of discussion, Annie. That was not her name. Anyway, Annie, at a party one night, claimed that she had been sexually assaulted by a member of one of the athletics teams there at our high school, and came forward with that information to one of the administrators at the school, one of the high-level administrators at the school. And within a day of the school administration looking into what she had said, she did not go to law enforcement at the time. She was terrified of that. Within a day, Annie had received a couple of threats from other students of harm to herself if this athlete, who was very popular and very well liked at the school, was to face any sort of discipline because of her claims. And she showed them to me. This would have been 2001. I think I was either a freshman or sophomore at the time. Anyway, she received a lot of threats from students within the school if there was any discipline to this athletic individual because of her claims. And she basically backed off of them, not because they weren't validated, but because she was worried about what would happen to her if this very popular athlete ended up being suspended from his sport because of the claims that she made. That is the concern here. That is why lawsuits like this are, in most states, allowed to be filed without the accuser having to label themselves, especially in very high-profile cases like one involving the quarterback of an NFL franchise. So this ruling this morning is not a huge surprise, and Texas treats things a little differently than a majority of other states do. As we mentioned in that last segment, Texas basically leaves it up to the discretion of the court. They will go in front of a judge. That judge will decide whether or not the woman in question has a right to file the lawsuit without her name being listed on said lawsuit. And then the defense teams can fight it out in front of the judge to determine whether or not those women have that right to privacy. So far, the first young lady in question here did not win that. The judge did decide that she must refile her suit with the name attached to it. I will tell you, I do not know what the appeals process is for this decision. I don't know if Tony Busby has recourse to go back in front of a judge and say, we don't agree with this decision, and ask for it to be heard by another judge who may come to a different decision. I don't know what the appeals process looks like. But while this ruling is, at least to me, again, not an attorney, nor did I spend last night in a Holiday Inn Express, though I do have family members who are attorneys and a few friends who are attorneys that I have been in discussion with about this case. Basically, what they told me is this is unsurprising, though it should also be unsurprising if through an appeals process, that decision is disagreed with by another judge, and we may very well have to watch this entire process play out before we actually see the lawsuits in question make their way into a civil court. So that's just a bit of an update about where everything stands right now. The right to privacy is one that is put in place to protect these women from repercussions, to protect these women from any sorts of threats or harm or blowback presented by fans of the person in question. And of course, when you've got a guy like Deshaun Watson, it is absolutely no surprise that he has a number of fans who would be willing to go to extreme measures to have his back in a case like this. So that's just an update. Again, another hearing taking place right now in that same courtroom. As soon as we get any sort of word about that, I am following it on Twitter. As soon as we get any sort of update on what the next round of hearings say, we will bring that information immediately to you later on. But Zoe, it's just kind of it's the story remains ugly. The story remains where it stands right now. It may very well be, Zoe. It may very well be deep into the NFL season before these courts even, or these cases even, make it to a courtroom it is possible that if they go all the way to a trial, a civil trial, it may be November, December before the first one gets in front of a judge. And if that happens, I can't imagine that Deshaun Watson would be on an NFL field, whether it's for the Texans or anybody else at that point.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. More than likely, he is, for now, played his last down in the NFL till this stuff is settled. And these things do take time. They should, but you got to gather all the evidence and everything and try to get to the truth of it. So, I mean, the fact that you already mentioned that the NFL is indeed looking into it, there's no way that they allow him to be on the field with all these accusations and stuff seemingly coming to light every single day.
Yeah, and at a point in time where the NFL is doing all that the NFL can do to enhance its image with women, this is one of those things that they're going to say, look, we're not saying that we believe Deshaun Watson is guilty, that Deshaun did these things, but we are going to say that there is enough evidence out there that we are very concerned about it, and that we are going to let the legal system take care of its side of things. But with the NFL investigating, obviously they do not have the authority and the subpoena power that the court does. They basically are going to have access to roughly the same information that we have, although they may have a little more in terms of resources of PIs and whatnot that can do a little digging into Instagram interactions, etc. But the fact that the NFL does have a inside investigation going into this right now, the fact that they have this inside investigation taking place leads me to believe that Deshaun will likely be on the bench on his couch on the commissioner's exempt list when the NFL season kicks off, and will not be a quarterback for any NFL team when we get to that point. 844-GSP-ESPN. Want your thoughts? 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Before we take a break, let you know, because I know that some of you have been following this story. It has been reported now that DMX has passed away, 50 years of age, entered a vegetative state last weekend. And apparently, due to brain function tests responding as negative, DMX has been pulled off of life support and has passed away. One of the most prominent rappers of the early turn of the turn of the millennium was DMX, no longer with us at 50 years of age. Quick break, back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
You're just minutes.
All right, so O'Reilly Cole was a solid A-.
What could they have done better? Since you're not giving it a A+.
Well, first off, I subscribe to, I don't like him, but I subscribe to the Meltzer school of thought, where if I'm going to hand out an A+, it's going to be one of those matches that it's done, and I go, we're going to be talking about this for 50 years. It was very good. There were a couple of spots that slowed down a little bit, a couple of spots that I think it was a little predictable where it was coming from. A couple of false finishes that you saw them setting up for the false finish, which just, I don't know why, it kind of bugs me. One of the things that drives me crazy is when the referee sets up for the count at the head of the wrestler, and you see them roll their head back and their eyes back so they can watch the count, which I understand you have to do. But look, A- for me is like handing out a 9. They're very, very rare. But I'm just handing out a 10 for me is like, you got to be HBK Razor Ramon ladder match for me to give you an A+.
Yeah, I think my only major flaw in it, and I get your complaint, but my major flaw was the length of it. I think they could have ended it a little bit earlier.
I had no issue with it. The length was fine for me, though.
Maybe it's because I'm old and was falling asleep, and I shouldn't be falling asleep during a match like that. But
I thought the length was fine because it never got to the point where they felt like they were out of danger, right? Length only becomes an issue to me when it gets to the point that it feels like they're out of danger. Like there's a point where the match is slowed down, but they just kept ramping up. Once they hit the spots on the stairs and then they got to the walkway, I was like, all right, well, if we're going to do a fight out of the ring, we're probably getting to max length. But then when they went through the walkway, through the catwalk, and Cole pulled O'Reilly out, kicking a hole in the side of the stage. I was like, okay, all right, we're going to keep ramping this up. I'm for it.
Yeah,
I am fine with the long match as long as it keeps building, and they kept building.
That part was interesting. This is another one of those matches, and I'm sure we'll see some more where you're like, man, I wish they were in front of a full crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And would they have did some things even worse if they were in front of a crowd, because a crowd will encourage you to do things that maybe you weren't a direction you weren't heading towards, which is still my concern for tomorrow night and Sunday night. That these guys are going to be back in front of such a big crowd, they're going to take chances that they wouldn't normally take, even though it is WrestleMania. I gotta say, I didn't watch NXT from the beginning, so I've only been watching it a couple of years. This is one of the more memorable matches for me.
Oh, sure. As far as NXT goes,
especially with the build up and, you know, the breaking of a faction, and it usually goes this way anyway, but still, I don't want to say it's extreme. I don't know what it seems like there's actual hatred there. And I know that's because they're good at their job.
Ben says, great day at the clubhouse. Good afternoon, Robin Zoe. What's up, Ben? What clubhouse are you? Or are you just talking about the clubhouses in our little clubhouse here that we're working in? And Steven said, I look like the out of shape brawny guy. First off, Steven, if I may, I look very in shape. That's why I have the camera pointed up this direction. If I pointed it this way, yes, I would look very much out of shape. I'm good from like here up. I look in shape. It's a very strategic camera angles, though.
Well, you know, as far as brawny guys goes, all you got to do is be able to hike a distance, which I'm sure you could handle. Not saying you wouldn't be out of breath, but you could hike a certain distance. And if need be, could you chop down a tree with the proper utility? You know, yeah. Well, I mean, right now, if you had to.
It depends on how big of a tree, I guess. Like if there was a mid-sized, I don't know, whatever kind of tree you guys have here, a mid-sized Bradford pear. I have learned that the Bradford pear is an invasive species here in the area.
Especially the blooms. 20 seconds and QC connects and next break.
Perfect. And apparently they stink.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Have I shown?
And followed by your comment, local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
All right, Masters taking place right now. Featured groups are out on the course as it stands. We're going to keep you abreast of the Masters, and as it plays out right now, Phil Mickelson +1 of the day amount bumped down to +5. Bernard Weisberger is now all square with Mark Leishman, Justin Rose, and Brian Harmon. That is your top of the board right now, all at 4 under. Weisberger 6 under on the day through 16 so far. Carded a 2 over yesterday, but with just 2 to play, Weisberger has jumped up 30 positions on the day so far. He is on the cusp of turning in, if he can finish par the next 2 holes, a second round 66, 8 strokes gained, which would be phenomenal. Mark Leishman, Justin Rose, Brian Harmon. Hideki Matsuyama at 3 under, 1 off the pace. He will get on the tee box in about 15 minutes at 1 o'clock. Tommy Fleetwood is at 2 under, 4 under through 9. So 4 under on the first half for Tommy Fleetwood. That's a great start. He deserved better than the 74 he turned in yesterday, the 23rd ace in Masters history. He deserved better than a 74 yesterday.
He still has the hair, so I'm down with Fleetwood.
Does still have the hair. One of the more majestic mains on the course, no doubt about it. Jordan Spieth is 1 under through 6. He's at 2 under on the day after carding a 1 under 71 yesterday. So Spieth, taking the slow and steady wins the race approach to the Masters this year. And that's where we stand right now at the top of the leaderboard. Down below the cut line right now, cut line projected at +3, though there is still time for that to change. It is +375 right now. Jimmy Walker, Francesco Molinari are below it. Louis Oosthuizen is well below it. Sergio R. Garcia, Matthew Wolf, Rory McIlroy, all at +4. Zach Johnson, Matt Kuchar, Phil Mickelson, all at +5. So they will have an incredible amount of work to do to get back in. Phil is +3 or +2 through 9. So he will have to go a solid 3 under on the back 9 in order to get under the cut line. He'll have to go 2 under on the back 9 in order to be at the projected cut line, although there is no guarantee that is where the cut line will remain. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Coming up at 1:20, Savanna Leigh, our PGA Tour insider, is going to join us here on the show. She'll give us her analysis of day 1 at the Masters, as well as where we stand in day number 2. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, I have the reason that Lonzo will have to acknowledge why we should go to robo-umps and replay in Major League Baseball. It's a game that was directly affected on the scoreline yesterday. We'll address that next on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
Yep.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Watching the Masters. Speaking of the Masters, these guys are putting down, well, the ones who will be in contention on Sunday are putting down 4 rounds of golf in 4 days. I played 4 rounds of golf in 3 days a few weeks ago. And I got to tell you, man, on that Monday, when I got back to my regular day-to-day life, I was struggling. The hips hurt, the lower back hurt from all the torque I had put on there. And it's not just that it hurt, but that it's that it made my regular day-to-day life that much more difficult to go through. It made my regular day-to-day life the next couple of days when I was trying to move radio equipment around the living room and get back into the swing of things. It was difficult to do. And that's why we were partnered up with QC Kinetics, because QC Kinetics understands that when you have that type of pain, whether it's from golf or just living your life, it makes that day-to-day life that much more difficult to work through. It makes it that much more difficult to deal with. And they want your day-to-day life to be as comfortable as possible. If you suffer from pain and you've been told that surgery is your only option, there is a better alternative with our friends from QC Kinetics and their non-surgical regenerative therapies. They use your own body's natural healing to make and rebuild those healing properties inside of those joints where you have aches and pains. If you want to learn about the science, go to their website right now at QC Kinetics, QCKINETIX, QCkinetics.com, and learn more. Read up all about it, or give them a buzz at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. Tell them the Rob Brown Show sent you. Get set up with that free consultation and learn how you can get feeling better, faster, naturally with our friends at QC Kinetics. Do. Come on, Phil. Knock that in, Phil. Nope, you pushed it. Oh, come on, Philip.
So at Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest, they've debuted an Optimus Prime that automatically transforms by voice activation.
All right, that's rad, and I want one.
They cost $700.
I don't want it that bad.
Yeah, me either. So it's voice activated through your phone.
Okay.
So like you could leave it in someone's office, like let's say Mark Ryan's office, and then on your phone app, activate the thing just so it would transform and freak the crap out of them.
Does it make the cool Michael Bay Transformer sound?
That sounds nothing like it.
I know it does,
but yeah.
I realized as soon as I started the impression that I don't actually know how to do it, but I was committed to the bit.
There's probably only a couple people in the world who could actually do that, as far as the dude from Police Academy, probably. But contains over 5,000 components, 60 microchips, and 27 servo motors.
You know, the problem is with a killer, well, for lack of worse word, a killer toy like that is that one part breaks and basically you've got a truck or a robot.
Yeah, pretty much. But the other problem with that is you would never play with it.
I mean, never play with it, but like everybody who comes to your house and is like, that thing's awesome. You'd be like, yes, it is. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. Ignore it. It's in a glass case for a reason.
I have a remote control Grogu that my wonderful wife bought for me because she said she thought it'd be cool to use it on the show, which we did around Christmas out in the hallway. We did a video of just making him move down the hallway. He also will point his hand and do the hand thing and does a bunch of other things. I haven't turned it on since Christmas. I see him all the time. He's watching me while I'm playing games, but
years ago when I worked in TV news, me and one of the other producers of our TV news show back in Pensacola, we had a little mini BB-8 that was controlled on your phone, and he rolled around. Like, he would roll around, you could push a button, and he'd make the sounds or whatever. We used to mess with our weatherman when he was doing his weather broadcast. We would roll BB-8 around him on the floor and mess with him until a news director one day told us, as much as I love Star Wars, if you do that again, you're fired.
Still, you got to do it for a little bit.
On Twitter, tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Robo-umps, we had a long conversation about that yesterday, about why it was that I am in favor of robo-umps. Zoe said that he is not, and he is not a favor of robo-umps because of Skynet. He said ultimately when it comes down to it, this is just one more step in the direction of the T-2000 showing up and wrecking humanity as a whole. Well, yesterday, Michael Conforto was in the box late in the game, a game which was heavily contested between the Miami Marlins and the New York Mets, an NL East divisional round matchup, and this happened. You won't be able to see it, but you'll understand what I'm talking about, and then I'll describe it to you. Here's the audio. Well, I started late. Let me try that. Let me start it over. Here you go.
Pitch. Breaking ball in there, strike three call. And they're saying it nicked him on the arm. The game is over. It was called a strike initially, but then it was ruled that the ball hit Conforto. Michael gets to first base. The Mets are pounding on him, and in a very unusual scene, Don Mattingly is saying, hold the phone. We want to check this out. Meanwhile, the Mets are celebrating a 3-2 win with Conforto being hit by a pitch.
All right, so let me run that back. I'm not going to play with the audio, but I am going to play it for Lonzo on our, and if you're not watching on the live stream, now's a great time to join so you can see exactly what we're talking about. I am actually going to share this so that Lonzo can see what I'm seeing and see if it changes his opinion. Conforto is at the dish right now, and this is bottom of the ninth, 1 out, a 1-2 count, and the pitch happens. And so I'm not going to play the audio again, but I'm going to play it so you can react to it. I want you to look at where the strike crosses the dish on the K zone, and I want you to watch Conforto's right elbow as this pitch comes in. Now, 84-mile-an-hour changeup. It's not exactly like it was a barn burner in there, but it, quote, hits him, end quote. The Mets win. Watch this right elbow, Lonzo. Tell me two things. Number one, that is, I stopped it right where it hits him. Number one, this is a dead-on look, all right? Here's the edge of the plate. I want you to tell me, is that ball in the strike zone, yes or no?
I don't believe it's in the strike zone.
Lonzo.
Can't. All right, it is in the strike zone.
Thank you very much.
There's a little bit of a problem with the video here and me seeing it. There are glitches and it skips and things, and so that's why I'm saying that.
All right, here I'm gonna stop it. Right there. Right there is where it allegedly made contact, and I know it's grayed out because I don't have it playing and it grays it out. But I want you to look at that ball and tell me that ball's not dead over the plate. Here, I'm going to go out of my way. I'm even going to move that banner. There you can see the dish. The edge of the dish is right here, right? That is a straight line. That ball's a strike, all right? That pitch is a strike. Second off, I want you to watch in slow motion, watch the right elbow of Conforto as that ball comes into the box. I'll back it up. Now, the rule in baseball is you must actively try to avoid the pitch. So even though it is a strike, which should be a strike whether it hits him or not, you must actively try to avoid the ball. I want you to watch him stretch out that right elbow. Right there. He pushes the right elbow out over the plate to draw contact. That's a violation of the rules of baseball. If baseball just went to the replay, the Mets, they might still win that game, but they don't win it on a walk-off HBP that should have been a strike. Zoe, right there's your argument. You said, how many games does it directly impact the outcome of? The day you made the argument, there's my answer right there. Right there in video evidence. That's why. We'll get Lonzo's response to that coming out of the next break. But before we do, your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. Your keyword for the 1 o'clock hour is dream. DREAM. About, I had a dream where I won $1,000. DREAM. Text that keyword to 72881. 72881. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Text DREAM, DREAM, to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. When we come back, we'll get Lonzo's reaction to this video. Savanna Leigh joins us to talk about the Masters at 120 and a whole lot more before the Wrestling Hour to wrap it up. On a Wrestlemania Friday, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate. WYRD Greenville. WORD.
All right, I thought we were going to have more time to get your response, so I want to bring it back up.
I thought the timing was perfect myself.
Oh, this drives me nuts. This pitch is a perfect changeup for a strike. He leans into it, and if it hits him, it brushes the rim of his elbow guard. This is embarrassing.
Yeah, now that you've made the screen bigger, I can see it better. The other way, the screen was smaller and it's a little bit further away, and I probably would have had to put my glasses on, honestly. But it didn't look like it hit him, and he definitely stretched his arm out, without a doubt.
And they won the game because of that in a divisional game. There's a view of the quote contact end quote. Absolute garbage call. Absolute garbage call.
So you don't think it careened a little, just a little bit? I don't know. Change direction, possibly.
The pitcher's glove or a catcher's glove, right to his center of his glove. Boom. Right.
I don't know. I almost think that the ball changed directions just a little bit. Okay. I could be wrong.
Let's say for the sake of discussion that it did. Let's say it absolutely hit him. Even if it absolutely smashed him in the elbow, it's still a strike, and he still leaned into the pitch. Both of which mean that should have been a called strike, a strikeout, 2 outs.
You're right. If the rule is you lean into it, then yeah. I wasn't aware of the rule, but it's baseball and I'm not that up to date on the rules. Golf cart in the first break.
Word.
No, that's down the hall.
Boo. Hashtag dad kicks, hashtag dad jokes. I sent a dad joke to my brother yesterday, and he goes, when you make that joke and you have a kid, it's a dad joke. When you make that joke and you don't have a kid, you're just not funny.
This out. You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk.
Some dad jokes are actually funny. Does that make them not dad jokes?
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Let's get rocking and rolling. Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show is right here on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate Masters Leaderboard check-in. In just a few minutes, Savanna Leigh joins us in the next segment to talk a little bit about her impression of the course on day number 1, where we stand on our picks. And, of course, as we mentioned, a leaderboard update. That's coming up in just a few minutes from right now. Before we get that, we ran out of time. That was my bad. But far be it from me to not give Lonzo time to react to what I showed him on tape. And those of you not on the live stream, this is why you want to join us, because we have topics about stuff you can not only hear but see when we talk about it on the show. Zoe, I have showed you the video evidence of this anomaly. I have given you the rules of baseball. A, if the ball's in the strike zone, it's a strike, even if it hits the batter. And B, a batter must make an effort to get out of the path of a baseball for an HBP to be awarded. Both of those things were ignored by the umpire, who in the video rings up a strike. He pulls his hand back to throw the strike sign before he switches and starts pointing at his elbow as if it hit him on the elbow and changed it. Zoe, there's my argument without a word involved about why robo-umps are better than human umps, because that gave the Mets a win that they may still very well have won the game. But that should have been a strikeout, 2 outs on the board. The Marlins had men on every base, but they still had an opportunity to get a K or a ground out to end the game, and it was taken away from them.
This is human error at its finest. Wow. It stinks that the umpire missed that call. That's just too bad. You know what? And I'm sure that one game is going to come into play in the, how many games did you say are in this season? 162? Yeah, that one game. How much of a percentage is that in your overall win? I want human error. I do. I want the referees. I want.
So you enjoyed that call then? You thought that was a good call? You were happy with it?
I'm okay with the call, especially if I'm rooting for the team who won. If I'm rooting for the team who won, I didn't see a problem with it at all, and I don't know what your complaint's about.
The next time that you and I get in trouble because I screwed up on air, and we get the email from the boss going, hey, guys, what in the HE double hockey sticks was that? I am going to simply respond with, but Lonzo said he likes mistakes. It's the human element. And we're going to see how that goes over with the boss.
You know, I'm down with that because I don't recall you ever making a mistake that caused us to both be on an email. So, and it may very well have happened, but I forget about yesterday and 10 minutes ago. So, you know, and I can blame my age, and I shall. Let me remind you, I'm a grandpa. I forget things sometimes.
Okay. All right. I'm throwing it out there.
Next time, you're jinxing yourself. You're saying you're going to make a mistake that the boss is going to send an email to you about. Next time he does.
That's all I'm responding with. Oh, sorry, boss. Human element. What are you going to do? We like mistakes around here.
And my response would be, why am I responsible for what Rob does? Why am I even on this email?
Hey, you're a human. Human element.
I'm busy. Leave me alone.
Human element. That's the defense I'm going to go with. I'm going to go, you know what, boss? That was one show. Out of how many shows we've done so far? 162. It's more like 300 at this point. But how many shows out of one show out of how many? What's the overall percentage there, boss? I'm sure we can let this one fly because ultimately, human error.
You know, in all seriousness, and this may not be. I'm not pointing a finger.
Serious on this show.
Yeah, I'm not pointing a finger at you because I would never do such a thing. But people who find things to complain about, such as this, will also find things to complain about the robo umps if you ever get your way. Well, the programming's off. Someone hacked it. There's no way that robot didn't see that, or it's too perfect. How do we expect these humans to be as perfect as the robots want them to be? This has ruined the game. I can't believe it. Remember when Rob and guys like that decided that these umpires no longer needed to have jobs and put them on the unemployment line, and then some of them ended up homeless.
Poor Angel Hernandez.
But you know what? We have robot umps now, and we're just so happy about it.
So if tomorrow somebody on the other station got fired for dropping an F-bomb, would you be going to the boss and going, but boss, think about him. He's on the unemployment line now. What a poor guy. I feel
now. See, that's a poor comparison, because that job would still exist. He would just no longer be in it. In this case, with the robot umpires take over, then that job doesn't exist anymore. So you've eliminated a job, you've eliminated a profession, you've eliminated a dream for all those nearly blind kids who. All those nearly blind kids who think someday I'm going to be an umpire.
Wait, hang on. Pause that, because I got a Sarah McLachlan CD I can start playing around here somewhere. You can talk over. Any arms of the angel. Keep going, Zoe. Far away from here. You got more?
For just 5 cents a day, you too can save an umpire who is no longer in functioning society, thanks to uncaring people like Rob Brown, who wanted their job eliminated to make their game perfect. Please share. One homeless umpire is one too many.
I don't know the words to that song.
It's all right.
Better if I did.
It worked, and
that's the closest I could get.
Yeah, we got to be careful. I mean, I could have threw up some Sarah, because you always have that on hand just in case, but we wouldn't have been able to play it on the stream, or people wouldn't be able to see this video right now. And they would have been blessed with that wonderful rendition that we were just blessed with.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
And
when do they hand out the Grammys for best on-air performance on a talk radio station?
And to quote someone on that man show, can we make that into a promo? Why, yes, we can.
844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read it on the air. 71307. Want you to give us your thoughts. Quick check at the text line at ESPN. Rob, so I listened to Mark's show and he mentioned he watched all but 3 sports growing up. He listed the 3, which I said, so you watch wrestling. And his reply was, on the man show, wrestling is not considered a sport. That is only for the boys show, end quote. That's fine. If there's a huge swath of audience out there geeked about an event that brings billions of dollars in every year that he wants to willingly say he will not talk to, they are welcome here on the Rob Brown Show.
By the way, I just want to point something out, and he cannot deny this because I was present during this time. One of the times when he made fun of wrestling, his mom texted in and said that he watched wrestling as a kid, and he read the text.
Wow.
So there's that. There's that.
Wow.
Take that however you want.
That's incredible, actually. Incredible. I love that. He's going to claim he grew up.
I just want to point out that his mom is a wonderful person. I met her. She is very cool.
His whole family are very nice. They are. I've spoken with all of them. Well, in my past when we worked together in the FLA, but they're all wonderful people. Yeah. So there you go. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Texas 71307 is the number to be a part of the program. And to those of you that have asked, or those of you who are still doing it, let me remind you that you do not want to text the keyword to our text line. You want to text the keyword to 72887. Every time that I give the keyword, I get a handful of people who text it 71307.
72881.
72881. 72881 is the text line for the keyword. If you're texting to get your text read on the show, it's 71307. If you're texting the keyword to win a gram, it's 72881. And one more time, just because I'm a nice guy, your keyword for this hour is DREAM, DREAM. Text that keyword to 72881 for your chance to win a gram and the $1,000 cash dash right here on ESPN Upstate. So there you go. That's where we stand right now. Let's do this. Let's run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, Savanna Leigh from the Brunswick News. She's our PGA Tour insider. She's going to join us to give some thoughts on the first day of the Masters, round 1 in the books. We have got almost half the field out on the course playing round number 2 right now. Give you a leaderboard update, check out our picks, and talk a little bit about the course coming up next on the Rob Brown Show. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. This is ESPN Upstate.
Golf cart.
Yep.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone everywhere on the radio.com app. Download the app and make ESPN Upstate a favorite for 24/7 real, unfiltered sports talk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you, like me, are sitting here watching the Masters and thinking to yourself, well, howdy boy, would I love to get out there and play a little golf? Well, do I have great news for you? The 2021 Upstate Golf Card is officially back on sale right now. The best deal for golfers in the Upstate is back. And if you're like me, you see something on TV and you go, hey, that's a thing I do now. And you're watching a little bit of the Masters and you want to get out there because you watch Bryson DeChambeau send his first 2 drives yesterday, both deep into the woods, and you think to yourself, hey, I can do that. Well, now's your chance to prove it to yourself. Grab the Upstate Golf Card for 2021 by visiting the website upstategolfcard.com today. $99 is getting you round of golf at 9 of the most prestigious golf courses in the area: the Preserve at Verde, Pebble Creek, Legacy Pines, the Rock Golf Club and Resort, Carolina Springs, Willow Creek, Links of Tryon, Rolling Green Golf Club, and the club at Brookstone, which is new to the card this year. That's over $450 worth of golfing for just $99, a 75% discount. Get yours now. Host your own Masters. Grab a bunch. Bring the girls and the guys out for a round and dominate them on the golf course, just like you do when you're playing the game out in your head in the Masters, like I do every single year. The Upstate Golf Card is on sale now. Go to upstategolfcard.com. That's upstategolfcard.com. While we're talking about nerdy things that I like, Zoe, the guy who is running my next D&D campaign has reached out and said that the next campaign we run, he expects to take 2.5 to 3 years to complete.
How often do you play?
The goal is once a week. The goal is to do it weekly. And he says even playing weekly, it should take 3 years to finish.
Nothing wrong with that if it's exciting every single week.
We have a blast.
But if you play the way that we have, sometimes you're there like 3 hours and you didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the bad part about it, or the good part.
Have I told you about the character that I've created for this campaign?
You may have told me, but not the stream. So.
I am playing a character who is the D&D version of a professional wrestler. He's a fighting monk, and all of my skills and feats are wrestling themed. So like one of the ones I took is a feat that lets me impact people's actions based on my words, i.e. cutting a promo to try to convince them to fight or back down from a fight. My little personal token that I carry around is this long robe that is covered with diamonds and rubies and whatnot from adventures I've been on. So I'm Ric Flair in that capacity. It's just it's a professional wrestler in a D&D game, and I am nerding out so hard and can't wait to play.
That is so awesome. You know, the last week I got to interview Chris Rager, who's the voice of Hercule or Mr. Satan, however you want to call him, in Dragon Ball Z. And he said when he got the job, he got to create how he wanted to do the voice, and he looked at him and said, "That's Hulk Hogan." Yes. So if you listen, so he based, and he said, you know, every time he voiced him, he was thinking he was doing a wrestling promo, which comes across if you've ever watched the show for sure. I mean, you think professional wrestler. I mean, Hercule walks around with a big old belt on and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was really cool because I never, you know, you always think that when you see something like that and then find out that it's true. I thought that was awesome. You're going to have fun with that character.
So the thing that I carry around beside my robe is a belt that I wear around my hip, and I put on it trophies and tokens that I've won, and it's a belt that goes around my hip, and I'm a champion, so it's my champion's hip belt. That deserved a better reaction, but Alonzo's on the phone.
By the way, I did hear you, and I had a great reaction the first time you told me. So, and I think it's awesome. But, job and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's overrated.
I did have to get your guest on the phone.
I have upped and adorned because the dude that's running it told me that I could basically make it whatever I wanted it to be since it's my personal item. So I have added to the front of my champion's hip belt a big round gold plate on which every time that I win a fight, I etch a little bit more of the map in. So on the front is a big gold plate with the continent we're playing on etched into it, and it is my champion's hip belt. I think it's brilliant, personally.
I'm glad to know that your character has etching skills.
Well,
you don't have to roll. You don't have to roll for that to make that accurate, do you?
No, I'm going to pay people that'll be one of the things. Every time we come to a new city, I will pay them
15 seconds.
That's where we are into it. It is my world's hip belt.
I was just picturing you by a campfire with, an etching tool.
Bring him a microbrew, quick! This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the Odyssey app. That's right. We are now Odyssey, your home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today and listen to ESPN Upstate and all of your favorite music, news, sports, and podcasts on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Download the app today and don't miss a moment of broadcasting. Check on the Masters leaderboard as it stands right now. Mark Leishman and Justin Rose. Justin Rose turning an incredible 65 yesterday, but he is +2 today through 13. So Leishman, the Aussie, and Justin Rose, the Brit, both tied atop the leaderboard at 5 under to par as it stands. Bernd Weisberger, done on the day. 6 under today, cards a -4 after turning in a +2 yesterday. 4 off the pace, -4 under the pace. Tony Finau, Brian Harman, Hideki Matsuyama are all at 3 under. Matsuyama has just turned to 2. Harman is even through the day. He is through 4 right now. Finau is through 9, -5 on the day. He was +2 with a 74 yesterday. That's the top of the leaderboard. Let's bring in our PGA Tour insider from the Brunswick News, friend of mine off the air and on, Miss Savanna Leigh, joins us here on the show. You can follow her on Twitter at SportsGirlSL. Savannah, day 1 in the books. We are well underway in day number 2. Happy Augusta weekend to you.
Happy Augusta weekend to you as well. This has been so much fun. I don't even all I have done is watch Augusta, the Masters. That's all I've done. That's all I did yesterday. And then when it got over, I went and played a few holes. But I've been glued to the TV. Right now I have the 4 screens from the Masters streaming going on the big screen and the leaderboard going on my laptop. I'm ready. I'm working too, but we're watching the Masters.
I mean, we're all, let's be real, we're all pretending to work is what we're doing right now. So one interesting thing that jumped at me yesterday was that the field through day number 1 last year at the end of the first round was sitting at I think as a whole right at +55. And at the end of the yesterday, it was like +220. I know that they firmed up the greens quite a bit. I also know that The spring conditions were a little more friendly. If you were on the second cut yesterday, they were torturing these guys. What have you seen that's been the major difference in the reason that we gained 200 strokes through the tournament field on the first day?
Well, I think the people at Augusta National saw what the pros did to it in November, and they were like, okay, well, we're going to fix this because we're not about to be one of the easiest greens on tour. And so they've really dried out the greens and made them really hard and firm, but the fairways are doing the same way. And so I think it's just making it a little bit more challenging. And it just goes to show all the different undulations and stuff that are on this course, how quickly it can be that much more difficult when you dry it out a little bit. I think there is a little rain in the forecast, it may be in the next day or so, but in all honesty, I think you should keep it like it is. I'm so tired of seeing people talking about how ugly the greens and stuff look, and I'm like, well, y'all are the ones that were complaining about it being too easy last year. This is what happens. Like, they are trying to challenge these guys, and I absolutely love it because I love to see the tour guys, kind of sweat a little bit.
Yeah, I was watching yesterday, and I said on Twitter, I don't think I'm a masochist all that much, but when I'm watching drive after drive end up in Pine Straw, I just feel a little bit better about myself. Granted, if I played this course, I'd run out of golf balls by the turn, but at least when I watch these guys put drives into the woods, I'm thinking, hey, it's not just me.
Yeah, for sure. I'm the same way.
Let's talk about the greens for just a second. I know back after we had the last Masters just 5 months ago, there were some of the golfers, Phil Mickelson included, who's never been shy about course conditions and making people know where he stands on them, talked about the fact that the greens weren't very firm when we played this same course 5 months ago. Guys were landing the ball on the green and the ball would just die. Putts were coming up short. Phil, amongst other guys, said, hey, firm it up, make it more like Augusta. Well, they've done that, and I've seen some people complaining because there are, let's just be honest, they're not the worst greens we've ever seen, but there's a lot of brown patches on these greens at Augusta because they have dried them up and firmed them up so much. We watched, who was that? I think Bern Weisberger yesterday, have a look at an eagle putt and end up carting a bogey because he putted not one but two off the green into the water. Did they go too far in making the greens a little tougher to play?
Definitely not. You're a professional golfer at this point in time. If you've played the Masters enough, you should know where those little spots and stuff are where it can just slide off. And then, that's what you get for complaining, in my opinion. Like, don't complain about something if you don't want them to either fix it or make it better, because that's exactly what Augusta National did. They were like, okay, guys, if you want it harder, we're going to give it to you a lot more, because that's what they're doing. And I absolutely love it, because I think that humbles the golfers, because they have to pay attention a lot more and they have to realize where they're doing. Yesterday when Shane Lowry put it, I think it was on 12, and it went straight, past the hole into the water. It was a perfect line, and it just grazed off. And as soon as it hit that ledge, it was gone. And so I'm all for that, because I think it humbles them and it makes them have to think a little bit more. And to me, that's what Augusta National is all about, is having to be meticulous and thinking about your shots and thinking about where you're putting it on the green. And so I'm all for it. The thing is I'm pretty sure Augusta National could make those greens as green as they wanted to, but they're drying them out to prove a point that this course is still just as tough as some of the other really tough courses on the tour right now.
No mercy from Savanna Leigh. No mercy. Watch them sweat. You can follow her on Twitter at SportsGirlSL. Justin Rose had a day yesterday, a 7 under 65. Not the same golfer today. He is +2 now, so he's gotten a couple back through 13, but some work to do to scramble back down and card a par today, if he can pull it off. That being said, that -7 yesterday, even with a +2 today, still good enough for top of the board. What did you see from Justin Rose yesterday that made him so successful on this course that other golfers might try to emulate today?
Well, what I found interesting is when he was talking to Scott Van Pelt after his round, he was talking about how he watched the Augusta Women's Amateur last weekend and saw just how fast and hard the course was playing. And so he took a lot of what the girls were doing and implemented it into his game. And I think that actually helped him in the long run, especially down through Amen's corner into 16-17, because, you know, he was hitting it in places that the other guys weren't necessarily going for. And I think he just was paying attention. I don't necessarily know how many of the other guys were actually tuning into last weekend's coverage. I know Bubba Watson was there. And then Rosie is also a big advocate for women's golf. So those two guys, I know for a fact, but I think the other guys need to go back and watch the coverage to see, but they need to take notes because he was putting it in places that not everybody was trying to. And I think that's because he was watching those women do it. And it helped him in the long run. Justin Rose is an incredibly talented golfer. We just haven't seen it in a long time. He put that old driver in for this week, and I think that's also helped him a little bit too.
Savanna Leigh joins us here on the show, and it's funny that you brought that up because last weekend I was watching the amateur, and the women were attacking. I mean, first off, they were attacking this course. There was no laying up. I mean, these girls were going all for it. But I found it interesting because, and I'm glad you brought it up. I as a novice spectator, a guy with just the baseline elementary knowledge of golf, a guy who's never seen this course in person, was watching the way these women were playing the course and was picking up some stuff that I actually, as a matter of fact, asked a friend of mine I was watching with one day. We were out at a bar, I think Friday, watching some of it. And I said, I wonder how many of the tour guys are watching this right now and trying to learn stuff about the course. And a couple of the ones who said I are a couple of guys up at the top of the board. So kudos to the women who played the amateur last week, and kudos to the guys who followed them, not just for the pick me up, but for the fact that those women taught them some stuff about Augusta, some of which is translated to success for a couple of guys at the top of the board right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I just think it's so awesome for the game in itself, because it just goes to show, like, women can teach men something too. And then you give them a chance to play one of the best courses in the world. And I love that some of the best men golfer in the world are taking away from it, because it just goes to show that it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. This game is for everybody, and anyone can learn something from another person. And I think that's the really cool thing about it. And, the fact that these PGA Tour players are, pumping up women's amateur golf and pumping up women's professional golf is huge. And that's what the women need.
Savanna Leigh joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Projected cut right now is 3. Moving on from Saturday will be the top 50 golfers plus those that are tied at 50. Some of the folks in danger of missing the cut right now: Billy Horschel, Sergio, Rory McIlroy turns in a plus 476 yesterday, so he's got a little bit of work to do. Needs to likely go at least 1 under, maybe 2 under for his round today. He tees off here in about 20 minutes or so. You and I both said that we were excited to watch Rory McIlroy, not necessarily expecting to win, but seeing if he could take the, I hate to say mental struggles that he's had with his game this year and kind of reformat them for Augusta. But Rory in danger of missing the cut, which I got to tell you, kind of shocks me a little bit. Did we lose Savanna? Did I lose Lonzo?
I'm still here.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Yeah, but hold on. Let me.
All right, we'll get Savanna.
Call her back.
Yeah, we'll get Savanna queued back up. Not sure why we got disconnected there, but we'll see if we can get her back on the air here. Savanna Leigh from the Brunswick News. Again, you can follow her on Twitter at SportsGirlSL. She is our PGA Tour insider, has been following Augusta very closely. She, like me, has the ESPN multicast going on right now with 15 and 16, Amen Corner, I think 4, 5, 6, and the feature group all up right now. Justin Rose putting for birdie and the lead on the par 4 14th right now. Looks like he's got about 20 feet to go, and he will, wow, beautiful putt, rolls it in. So Justin Rose with another birdie now takes over the leaderboard all by himself at this point. He is now at 6 under for the day, back down to +1 overall through 14. So a little charge on the late back half for Savanna Leigh, for Justin Rose, working on getting Savanna Leigh back in here. Hopefully here in just a second, and we'll finish up with her. In fact, Zoe, if you, and now I've lost Lonzo from the stream too. All right. The struggle's real today, boys and girls. The struggle's real. All right. We'll try to get Savanna Leigh pumped back up here in just a second and get her back on the air to chat about what's happening.
Hey, Rob, I'm just going to tell you, I'm unable to dial out right now.
Perfect.
So, right at the time when we lost stream, we also lost her.
All right. So we may have just internet / issues at the studio as a whole.
Hey, but at least you are still on the air. So,
Yes,
so there's that.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's run to a break. We'll come back here in just a second. We'll see if we can get Lonzo back on the stream. We'll see if we can get Savanna back in. We'll see if we can get that hamster down in the basement to pedal a little harder to get our internet back up. Quick break. We'll come back here in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's at the helm. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
You ready? Get that texting finger limbered up. You could win free cash at the top of the hour, but you've got to listen for the...
That was weird.
Yeah. So did you lose internet on the main computer?
No, it was just on. It was weird. Right when I lost your stream, right when it kicked me out, she just stopped talking, and then I've tried to call like 3 or 4 times, and
just no dial tone.
Well, at first it said it was busy, then it said all circuits are busy, and then the next time it just wouldn't let me dial out. So I don't know. It's weird that happened at the same. Could be complete coincidence, but the fact that it only happened on one computer and not both. So
that is odd. I don't know. I was going to start offering solutions, but I have none. So, well, we'll see if we can get it back.
It's Skynet.
Keegan said, it's revenge for talking junk about the RoboUmps. Feel bad for Savanna. She planned all that out to be on the show with us, and then that happens. Perfect timing.
It is still saying all circuits are busy. So
all right.
Yeah.
I don't even know how that's possible, but here we are.
You know what you could do real quick? Call the studio. I'm just interested.
I completely forgot the number for a second there. 844-477-3776. Not ideal, Alonzo.
Well, that answers that question.
That does answer that question.
Well, I need to. I'll have to send engineering an email because I'm not going to have time to get out of here to go ask them.
It's all good.
One minute.
All right.
Did you text her? I don't know if you texted.
Yeah, I told her what was going on.
I sent an email to engineering. If I don't hear from them, I will roll down there in the next break.
It's all good.
If phones are off in the entire building, yeah, if they are, other shows need to know so they don't go, why is no one calling? And if Mark Ryan has any guests scheduled, that might be a problem.
True story.
20 seconds.
Dispensing real, unfiltered sports talk every weekday noon to 3. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on ESPN Upstate. Rob Brown Lonzo today on the broadcast. We apologize to Savanna. We're going to try to get her back, but apparently our phone lines are down to the whole building. So I know we're going to be working on those. For the next few minutes, we'll see if we can get Savanna back on to finish up our conversation here in just a little while. In the meantime, ESPN 844-477-3776. Real quick, wanted to talk about this for a second after the tumultuous end of the year for the Gamecocks of South Carolina. USC basketball coach Frank Martin has been he is taking advantage of the transfer portal. There is an estimation that around 1,500 NCAA basketball players from each level will be entering into the transfer portal while the portal is open, and Frank Martin appears to be taking full advantage of that right now. So far, two members added to the portal for the 2021-2022 roster from the portal. For the Gamecocks, AJ Wilson of George Mason. He is the second transfer to announce plans to join Martin's program, a 6'7" power forward. 6'2" Chico Carter Jr. of Murray State will also join as well. They will be the 12th and 13th scholarship player on the roster if there are no more defections. But according to Sports Talk SC, they say there are expectations for at least 8 more potential transfer portal members next year. Wilson's 2021 season from George Mason, according to the bio on his website, list him as an A10 all-defensive team member, ranked second in the conference and in the top 25 nationally in blocks, averaged over 2 per game. Became Mason's all-time leader in career blocks with 212 career blocks in his final game versus Davidson. Ranked second on the team in offensive rebounds with 34. Team high in blocks with 5 in a game and 3 steals against Queens. Game highs in points at 22, rebounds in 10, and blocks with 4 in a December 21st win against VMI. We know how good that VMI squad was this year. With a couple of games against Furman. 9.6 boards, 4 blocks at Massachusetts. 13.6 boards, 3 blocks against VCU. 16 points. That was a tournament team, by the way. 16 points to go along with 6 boards and 3 blocks against the Spiders of Richmond back on the 9th of January. Had a double-double. And went 6 of 8 from the floor against LaSalle. 14.6 blocks and 4 boards against St. Joseph's. His 200th career block came against St. Bonaventure. The Bonnies made the tournament instead of a game against 16.6 boards and a game high 4 blocks against LaSalle. He played 114 games in his career at George Mason, averaged 6.8 and 4.5 boards per game, shot 45% from the floor and 57% from the line. So that's another big addition. But Frank Martin may not be done quite yet, because there is another name, one that has garnered a lot of interest from teams around the country, and that is from Filip Rebraca. He is a Serbian-American whose father, Zeljko Rebraca, played 5 seasons in the NBA. Philip said Frank Martin was telling me all about that. He had visited Serbia before because of basketball, and he really liked the people there. We're just connecting on a few points, what they feel like they need going forward. Would I be a good fit? So we're just getting to know each other. Rebraca said Martin piqued his interest in the Gamecocks, and he wants to learn more. He said, quote, "I'm highly interested to see what they have to say. This is just the beginning of the process. I can still learn a lot more of what they have to offer, and if they decide to continue the recruitment process, I'd like to talk with the head coach and learn about the program more." They said we and he, Frank Martin, should be able to talk more soon. And quote, Rebraca's game is very well rounded. At North Dakota State, averaged 13.7 shots, 54% from the floor, 38% from three, 63% from the line. This past season averaged 17 points and 7.5 boards per game for the season. And unlike most every other transfer, Rebraca said he's not leaving North Dakota to simply step up in the basketball world. He said, quote, "I am an international student, and there's a U.S. government rule that says international students have to take at least one in-person class per semester. I'm graduating this summer. The UND master's program I wanted to attend is going fully online, so I cannot stay here legally. So I decided not to sacrifice my education and to try to find another school where I can do it. That is my primary reason." And quote, he has done Zoom sessions with a variety of schools so far, will not take any official visits, which will not be allowed until June 1st. He said, quote, "I'll probably have my decision by then," and quote, "Iowa, Minnesota, Tulsa, Utah, and San Diego State, a few of which were tournament teams, were some of the teams that are showing strong interest in Rebraca so far. But that, Lonzo, I got to tell you, Frank Martin, for a guy that has been on the hot seat after the way the season ended for the Gamecocks this year in the SEC tournament, this would be an absolutely enormous pickup for the Gamecocks, a guy that has got interest in tournament teams, a guy that is clearly of high character, a guy that is, he just said his education is the reason that he's doing this, not just because he wants to make more noise in the basketball world. But Frank Martin doing absolute work on the transfer portal world right now, and you gotta wonder if maybe he's not buying himself a little bit more time if he can put together a more competitive roster next year by being one of the coaches that decides to lean into the transfer portal as a source for talent.
You know, I the negative side of me thinks that this is a desperate move to try to save his job, but the other side of me, the fan side for South Carolina, I think this is a good move. You're taking advantage of what you're allowed to do with the transfer portal, and with all those players leaving, he's got to fill those spots somewhere. And getting someone of quality like this, nothing wrong with that.
You know, I gotta say, even if it is a job, so if it works, right? I'll tell you right now, at least in my career, in my industry, some of the best work I've ever seen in radio has come from people that are desperately trying to save their jobs. If it works, it works. If he's going to bring in a handful of guys that have high interest from tournament teams from around the country, guys that want to be there, guys that are fighting for their name in the basketball world, or like Rebraca, guys that are just genuinely trying to get to a spot where they can have a better life, and South Carolina is going to give it to them. Why would you not? Be excited about that? Why would you not be? I absolutely would be. It's only dumb if it doesn't work. And if Frank Martin wants to lean into the transfer portal, right now I got to tell you, there are going to be some tournament teams that have got 4 or 5 guys that come in through the transfer portal. 4 or 5 guys that show up out of the transfer portal and make some noise. If South Carolina can be one of them, why the heck wouldn't you want them to be? Why would you get upset about them playing that game if that game is a game that is going to bring some teams to the next level? I would want to be one of them. I know there are a lot of folks, I know Mark Ryan's one, that do not like the transfer portal. I think once you pick a school and sign a scholarship, it's a contract that you should have to honor, and I understand that, but that ain't the rules. That's not what's in play. And if Frank Martin can take South Carolina up a notch by adding 5-6 guys out of the transfer portal, especially some 6'8", 6'9" guys that can go get you 7.5 boards a game and also knock down 39-40% from the 3-point line, That is the way the game is developing right now. You are starting to see big men who are 7-8 board, but 2-3 threes a game guys. If I can pick up one of those, that's the modern era of basketball. So, and the teams that do not embrace that and do not go looking for guys like Philip Rebraca, they're going to get left behind. Frank Martin's not making that mistake, and I applaud it.
I just want to point out, to a certain degree, I'm with Mark Ryan here as far as transfer portal. When this whole thing started, I said it on the free agency, and that's exactly what it is. And they can downplay it and act like it's not, but it is. But the fact that it's out there and you're allowed to do it, I think you got to take advantage of it, especially in the situation that South Carolina's in with so many guys leaving. You got to fill those spots somewhere, and why not do it with people who have played elsewhere and you know what their quality is, you know how good they are on the court. You got to do it.
844 GSP ESPN. Agree with Lonzo. Agree. There's a question for you. Text the 71307. Text ESPN. We'll read them on the air. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo Onward, and at ESPN Upstate. Let's take a break. Come back. Wrap up our numero dos, and then it's the wrestling hour as we head towards Wrestlemania weekend. Coming up just after that on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show.
In this economy where things seem to be getting more expensive, you're dealing with some money problems and things like that, and you're trying to figure out, well, how do I save money? How to lose weight and how to save money while doing it. First of all, nearly 400 pounds, maybe you have to some type 2 diabetes medicine, high cholesterol, SAP machine, gout, so many things that are affiliated or being overweight will cause all those things, all those medications. They cost money. They cost a lot of money. Even if you have good insurance, you still have other things. It's coming out of your pocket. You're spending a lot of money that you really don't want to have to spend. Well, let the health there help you there, because guaranteed or your money back. And when you lose that weight, you know what's going to happen is you're going to lose the need for those medications, because you're going to reverse the symptoms that have caused the doctors to prescribe those things for you. So you're no longer going to have to do that. So that's money back in your pocket. Now, let me tell you another way you can save money there. It's buy one, get one free. The Healthcare knows that no one loses weight on their own. You need the support of your friends, your family, your coworkers. You're going to look good. You're going to feel good. You're going to have to face the day. And like I said,
ladies and gentlemen, the stream, I'm going to grab a beverage while Zoe is doing the reads. I shall return briefly.
You can hear me talking about it. You've been on the edge of this. We're going to have you around for years to come. And it's .com. Fill out some information, and one of the Healthcare coaches will bring you in for a free consultation, get you on the way to losing that weight. And do not forget, it's buy one, get one. Go to idareme.com today.
They still down?
They're still down, and all the engineered doors are closed. So I'm going to text somebody.
Perfect. Who needs phones on a talk radio show?
It's overrated.
Got to keep them overrated. They just announced that a new Indiana Jones will be dropping in 2022. Starring Harrison Ford.
That's been out there for a while. But they just got a new actress. Yeah, I saw that, and I posted that. I've been secretly hoping that they would just change their mind, but apparently they're going through with it since they're hiring more people. 1 minute. I get it's a franchise that you want to keep going, but when was the last one? I mean, that was a long time ago. He's way too old. The outcry if you reboot it with somebody else will be,
Well, I thought they were trying to hand the mantle off to Shia LaBeouf, but that Crystal Skull movie was so tragically bad.
It was pretty bad.
They rebooted the reboot.
Yeah, it was so bad, especially on the heels of the second one. Yep. I mean, with Sean Connery in it, or that was the third one, actually. That was the third.
The second of the original ones?
No, the third one was the one with Sean Connery.
Yes, you thought that was bad?
No, it was good. What I'm saying, it was so good.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. Yeah. Don't hurt me, man. You just misunderstood me.
We're about to go
More
2 days
than the
with
scores, the ups and downs, the ins and outs. Real, unfiltered sports talk. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate 844-477-37. Wow, I can't give out the phone number. Text us 71307. That's your primary means of communication today. The text line 71307 or tweet us at the Rob Brown Show at Lonzo on Word. Once you're input on the show. Frank Martin going heavy right now on the transfer portal. Talked about that. Zoe said yesterday no robo umpires because of the fact that they will influence games. Yes, and so do bad umpires. That's what we saw yesterday. What's your reaction to that segment? Breaking news on the Deshaun Watson story from earlier this morning. A judge in 270th appeals court has said that the first woman. So far, there are a dozen more cases that are being discussed in a second special hearing going on as we speak. But at least one of the women who has brought a civil lawsuit against Deshaun Watson must refile her suit and do so with her identity attached to the suit. So at least one woman. We had two earlier this week who willingly revealed their identity. And now at least one more must refile her suit with her identity attached to the lawsuit. There could be as many as 12 more. As Zoe and I talked about, I do expect that the next step will likely be an appeal of that decision from Tony Busby. I do not know and have unfortunately not had the time to research what the appeals process for that will be, if there even is one. But I expect that Tony Busby's crew will indeed appeal that decision and try to keep the identities undisclosed until they are absolutely demanded to come forward. So we'll get you a recap of that coming up later on as well. Just know that there is another hearing taking place right now that will likely end up with a decision on that at least by the end of the day, and then we'll see where the appeals process goes from there. Multiple teams interested in trading for Teddy Bridgewater, but according to inside NFL sources, none of them are interested in trading with the contract that Teddy Bridgewater has on the books right now. That contract for this upcoming year is $17 million with $10 million of it guaranteed from Carolina. Apparently no teams right this second are interested in trading for that deal. They would need Teddy to take a pay cut Whether or not he does so is what's going to be interesting about this. That contract does, to some degree, give Teddy Bridgewater control over the situation as it stands right now. If Teddy Bridgewater would be willing to bet on himself and take a pay cut, then he would be able to effectively have the same power over his future that Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson have over theirs. He would have to accept the new contract and move on. The problem that you stand with there, if you are the Carolina Panthers, is that it kind of limits where you would be able to send Teddy Bridgewater, because Teddy gets to basically decide if he would accept a pay cut. And if he says he would not accept that pay cut, then it's more than likely that some of those teams would back away from that trade at that point, meaning that he would be carried on the roster up to training camp, and then have two options. Carolina and he could come to an agreement where he would be cut. The cap number would stay with the Panthers. They would owe him that $10 million guaranteed. That $7 million would come off the books, but the salary cap restriction would still be there. Or Teddy Bridgewater could go ahead to maintain a backup role with the Carolina Panthers, and Carolina would just have one of the most expensive backups in the NFL. We'll break that down further next week after more developments. But before we get to the wrestling hour of the show, here's another chance for you to win a grand in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. The keyword for this upcoming hour is boat, B-O-A-T, as in I could buy me a boat, I could buy me a truck to pull it. With $1,000, text BOAT, B-O-A-T, to 72881, 72881. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today by texting BOAT, B-O-A-T, to 72881. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Again, this hour's keyword is BOAT. Text it to 72881. When we come back, Zoe and I answer a question I was asked last night. Why do you, as grown men, continue to watch wrestling? We'll put our answers on the book when we return in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown, the great one. Lonzo with the helm. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, WFBT FM HD3.
An Odyssey station.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
So engineering is aware now. I don't know what they're doing because they're not in the building, but they're aware, and I'm getting emails from them. They want all details and all that kind of stuff. So when it's fixed, I'll let you know.
Okay, so now when we send out the link to invite people to listen to the stream, the way to do it now apparently is to change radio.com to odyssey.com, but everything else about the link stays the same.
Yes. Was that a question or a statement?
Yes. Thank you for the alert, Disney, but Falcon and Winter Soldier are going to be on the back burner until Monday, I think, this week.
And I can't wait to get home to watch it. because it's work for me.
That's true. I, on the other hand, have 4 screens of golf going right now at the same time, and
Lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured
Harley in the first break.
Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Welcome in. South Carolina. Welcome in. America. I am Rob Brown. Lonzo. Back in the network studio at the helm. Push the button switches. Making the show sound as good as it does today. You want to be a part of the show? Well, unfortunately, the phone lines are down. You can still text at 71307-71307. Text line is up. ESPN boat, as in boats. Yes, and I will always read a How I Met Your Mother reference live on the air. So thank you very much. Text line, and I'm kind of bummed that the phone lines are down, because this is a segment I very much wanted to get a hefty bit of listener interaction on. So we'll have to limit it to text and tweets. And we
unless you want to try to call, they could be fixed at any time. And chances are, when they are fixed, there's no way I'll know.
That's also true. That's also true. 844-777-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. You can try it. We'll see if hopefully it'll get fixed before we go off the air. But and the reason I was listening for listener interaction on this one is because I'm going to ask in here of you that I was asked last night. Zoe and I are going to answer, and then I want you as listeners that are in this demographic to answer for us, or answer with us, I guess I should say. I got asked yesterday evening. I was talking to a buddy of mine who was trying to schedule a little Zoom catch amongst some of my hometown amigos for this weekend. That's something we've been doing a little more recently. We just all kind of jump on a Zoom and send out an open invite and let the gang get back together virtually. And I got a you want to catch up on Saturday night? And I said, I will, but I'll tell you, because I got the Masters where coverage will be going off around 7, and then I'll flip over, and it'll be time to start Wrestlemania. My Saturday and Sunday both are pretty much covered up by sports this weekend. I got a bunch of baseball games I want to get into as the Braves start another round with the Phillies later on this afternoon. We've got wrestling, we've got golf. It's just going to be stacked up. And this individual, a buddy of mine from back home, said to me, I don't get it, Rob. Why, as a grown man, do you still watch professional wrestling? And I put some thought into that last night, because I understand it is a topic that every time we bring it up on the air, about once a week or so, Zoe and I bring it up on the air. And there are 2 types of reactions. In fact, yesterday we were kind of laughing, Lonzo, because the text line was relatively quiet last show yesterday until we got to the talk about wrestling and WrestleMania, and then the text line just absolutely lit up. But it always lights up with about 50% of the people who have wrestling takes, and about 50% of the people that say, I don't understand why you grown men talk about this. So I wanted to go on the record here before we get into our WrestleMania predictions over the next couple of segments, and both take a shot at answering that question. And I want you as listeners who do watch and enjoy it to check in and answer as well. So I'll let you go first. Why is it? As a man, as a father, as a grandfather, why is it that you put hours out of your week into professional wrestling?
Let me first off say wrestling is family, and I have several ways to explain why wrestling is family. When I was a young teenager, preteen, my papa was bedridden, and there are the 2 things that he and I really enjoyed, and one was croquet. I got to see him play croquet, never got to play against him, and he was a master. But he would watch me play and tell me how to get better. The other was professional wrestling. I would get to sit with my bedridden papa and watch on TBS on Saturday nights. He eventually lived across the street from me, and I would go over there and we would watch. And he would always comment about how Ric Flair would whip Hulk Hogan's butt, and it was so fun. It was bonding with someone who was so much older than me, a family member I didn't really know a lot about, but we could sit there together and talk about it. And he wouldn't talk much, but he would talk about wrestling. And one of my fondest memories was WrestleMania 1. When it happened, one of my uncles had one of those huge dishes. This was before Dish Network, before all the other small dishes came out. They were big dishes. It cost a lot of money. He had a ton of channels, and he recorded WrestleMania 1, and then he brought the VCR over. VCR back then probably weighed like 75 pounds, and took up like huge. Took up, not as big as an original computer, but still pretty big. And he brought it over. So my grandpa could and I was the only other person in the room. So just me and my papa in there watching WrestleMania 1. And whenever I think about wrestling, whenever I watch wrestling, I think of that family experience, that family bonding, and there's a little bit of a thing to it. When people say, "Why are you doing that?" and I'm not going to conform, to a lot of things. But going back to the family thing. So when my kids got old enough, I was able to take them to wrestling events, and they still will. My daughter will still bring up when Kane and the Undertaker were here at the well. We were 5 or 6 rows up. Fire. You can feel the heat up there, and she still remembers that. She still remembers the drunk woman in front of us had her beer in the air when Roman Reigns came out going, "Roman, I love you," and never spilled the beer once, which was an amazing thing. Her entire body was swaying, but that was and the first time I took my friends to be our office, you and I, Evan's first wrestling event, and the initial thing was blues. And anywhere you go, anywhere you go that you hear in stadiums, and football stadiums, and basketball stadiums, everywhere. That's because of wrestling. That's because of Ric Flair. There are so many things, so many iconic things. Your favorite actor, Johnson used to be. Right. There's just so many things, but in the end, it comes back to family. When I watch wrestling, I still feel the way I did when I sat with my papa and watched him, and I think I always will. Now that I'm a grandpa too, when my granddaughter gets old enough, that with her, I hope.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. It's a great answer. It lines up was a part of my answer. I remember when I was young, and my dad was a big Ric Flair fan. So was my grandpa. They loved them Ric Flair. My dad, when I was growing up, and I kind of had to answer. I kind of had to at one point because it was obvious to me as a kid. Ric Flair was a bad guy. Ric Flair was a bad guy, right? It was a win-it-all-cross bad guy, and I had to ask my dad as a kid one time, why do you this guy? Right? And I'm young and naive. Why do you like this guy? And my dad said to me at one point, he said, because at the end of the day, the only person that you can rely on to win is yourself. And Ric Flair is a success story. Even if you don't like how he did it, he's a success story. And what I took away from that conversation, Lonzo, was that my father was a heel and I was supposed to dislike him too. All right, that's what I took away from that conversation. But no, so the reason I stick around, and I'll piggyback on what Zoe said there, is because it's just been a part of me and my family for so long. And I'm probably the only big wrestling fan in my family. But if there is a house show somewhere close, I've taken my little brother, who very rarely watches it. Doesn't watch it on TV all that much, but I've taken him to wrestling shows just because it's Thursday night. And I think the last one we went to was in a WWE show in Pensacola, and it was his first live introduction to the New Day. The New Day was there when they were still a trio, and they fought FTR at the time the Revival. And they came out riding one of those ice cream carts on a bicycle and with Francesca and all that. And I looked over at one point, and my brother, who had never been introduced to the New Day before, and he's having the time of his damn life, man. He is partying with the New Day, and it was great. We got to see a women's match, and Charlotte was there. And I'm like, hey, that's Ric Flair's daughter. He's like, oh, that's cool. And she started laying chops onto who was she fighting? I want to say she was fighting Naomi that night, laying chops into Naomi. And I look over, and my little brother, Ric Flair woo and everything. It's just one of those things that I grew up with, and the familiarity of that. And all of the memories that bubble up alongside of it, much like Zoe, are still there. But from a more point of view, and thanks for the note there, Brian, that the echo's back on. On a more grown-up point of view, there's stories. And some you relate to very closely, some you don't. To me, and this is the easiest way to put it. First off, the argument, it's fake, right? Yes, so is Captain America, and I love that story. So is everything on TV.
So is This Is Us.
Yeah.
So is The Bachelor.
Yeah.
And some of the people who make fun of us for watching wrestling love those shows.
Yeah. It's all fake. Everything on TV is fake to some degree, even the news. It's all fake. It's all twisted to create a narrative and a storyline to engage you and entertain you. I decide to embrace something that takes that level and cranks it up a few notches for fun and giggles. That's what I do. But there are storylines that you can directly connect to that will reflect situations of you in your life, and you get to experience them in this kind of fantasy world. Who amongst us hasn't had a boss who overused to his authority, who overstepped his authority, who disciplined them for no reason, and haven't had the fantasy of, what if I could just walk up and stun this guy and pour a beer over his head and still have a job the next day? All of us have had that thought in our head, every one of us. And then we got to watch what happened when Stone Cold Steve Austin did it. How many of us haven't had the fantasy in our life of just being the coolest guy in the room? The guy that steps in a room and everything he says and does is absolutely electrifying. We all have. That's why we all love The Rock. Who amongst us haven't watched people flying around in their G6 with their Rolexes and their limousines and basically getting every woman they want or every dude they want? We all have. That's why Ric Flair was one of the greats. How many of us have come from a hardworking, blue-collar, son of a plumber background where we got told we weren't ever going to be anything other than what we are? That's Dusty Rhodes, man. That's a character we all relate to. And even though some of those icons are either not with us anymore or are retired, there are new characters. Daniel Bryan. How many of us have been in a position where there have been those golden children around us that got everything handed to them, opportunity after opportunity, and we never got those opportunities and those chances, and we had to fight our asses off from the ground up just for a shot, not for guaranteed success, but just for a shot, every one of us. That's why Daniel Bryan's story leading up to WrestleMania 30 was one of the greatest wrestling stories ever told. There are these stories that take years and years and years to develop that reflect on the life that we have, and we get to watch the way that we have these mental fantasies play out in our head about how these situations should work in an ideal world. And sometimes the bad guys win. Sometimes in real life and in wrestling, the bad guys win. And you gotta deal with that. You gotta rectify it. You gotta fight that fight back to prevent it. And it still doesn't matter. These stories are just like movies, except they happen week after week after week for your entire life, as opposed to a movie that you build up to for 2-3 years, and then you get a 3-hour movie and then it's over. That story's done. Not with these. They move on to another story, something else that you can connect with. And I'm not saying you're going to connect with everything. Nobody's got an inside track on what Doink the Clown felt like back in the day. But sometimes you can just laugh. It's just like a stand-up comedian. I don't relate to everything going on in Dave Chappelle's life, good, bad, and ugly. But when Dave Chappelle's on TV, the guy talks to me in a way that I find hilarious, even if it doesn't directly connect with me. That's where it comes from. That is why I love all of this. That is why I love it. That is why I enjoy it. Because there are characters and there are storylines that connect with that I go, man, I understand that. I feel that. And it gives me a sense of satisfaction when the bad guy gets a boot in his jaw. And it makes me reflect on what real life is like when the good guy loses. And yes, as Keegan pointed out, there are characters like the Boogeyman, right? There are characters like the Spirit Squad that you go, there's nothing like that in my real life. But there are characters in your life. There are weird people in your life. I'm probably one of them to a lot of you, that outlandish, ridiculous guy who watches wrestling. I'm one of those characters. And when you get one of those characters in your life, you just kind of sit back and reflect on the insanity that real life sometimes is. Lonzo, it is just a mirror held up to our own lives, played out by other characters that give us a sense of fantasy and storytelling that we don't always get to really see in real life, but we can see it in the reflection. And that is why the entertainment level is there for me. I never felt jaded when I grew up and learned wrestling was fake. It wasn't like I got mad at people for it. Somebody who was it Matt earlier, Tyler said, I feel like a lot of people hate on wrestling because they are mad about getting fooled into thinking it was real as a kid. Well, I got mad. I got fooled into thinking a lot of stuff was real as a kid, and I'm not mad about it. I just changed my perspective on it, and now it's just entertainment. And on top of all that, at some point, The Bachelor's going to go away. At some point, the Marvel movies are going to stop. At some point, everything we love is going to stop, and wrestling never will, because it's an art form of storytelling and entertainment that holds a mirror up to our real lives and engages us in a way that only a great book can sometimes.
See, and that's what I was going to point out. The fact that all these other shows, maybe your favorite show growing up, that you couldn't believe it got canceled. Well, wrestling's never been canceled. Could it happen someday? I don't think so. The fact that it's still going, even through a pandemic, when a lot of other things went away, they managed to stay relevant to those of us who love wrestling and still put out great storylines. And it keeps going. It's a reflection of society. It's a reflection of what's going on in the world today. And as long as they continue to do that, they're going to get someone who's going to look and go, yeah, as you pointed out earlier, I can associate with that person. I can associate with that situation. Let's see how it plays out. It's going to play out in a way I know that I could never do, but I can take some satisfaction in how that they are able to come to a conclusion. And wrestling is an amazing thing, not only with because of the athletes, but because of its longevity. And the people who don't like it, it's one of those things, there's shame to them in it, and they don't understand why you're not ashamed, because they are. And I just want to say that, Tyler, you're kind of right, but not entirely. Look up LA Knight. That's all I'm saying. If you don't know who LA Knight is.
You know what? A combination of those two is pretty accurate. Yeah, that's exactly right. It is a entertainment world, a fake world that holds up a mirror and reflects just enough of our own lives, but in a way that we could never live, but we can see how those storylines would play out in real life. And it's just entertainment and nothing else. And it's entertainment that was there for me when I was a kid. It's entertainment for me now. If I ever have a kid, it'll be still entertainment for them. It'll be one of those spots that we can cross over. It worked for my dad's dad and him. It worked for me and my dad. It's worked for me and my little nephew. There are these crossover spots between generations that these stories reflect, because at the end of the day, every generation's got its underdogs. Every generation's got its baby faces. Every generation's got its bad guys. Every generation's got its corporate bosses. Every generation deals with the same issues, although they may evolve decade to decade. Every generation deals with these same issues, and wrestling shines a light on them that we don't get to see it in real life. And then when it's over and we're done and the curtains draw and that show is over, then I go back to my real life. Then I go back to dealing what I have to deal with. It's entertainment for entertainment's sake. And I promise you, Lonzo, I have watched some entertainment shows on TLC that I will judge people far, far more harshly for watching than professional wrestling. I promise.
And deservedly so. And some of those, like I mentioned, The Bachelor, some things like that people, if you watch Real Housewives, first of all, what's wrong with you? And second of all, and I know I'm being judgy like you are of me for wrestling, but it's the same sort of thing. You're watching reality shows thinking they're real, and a majority of them are scripted. And that's what wrestling is. Yes, it's scripted with amazing athletes, but so much fun to watch. And some of the coolest people that I've ever had the opportunity to interview have been wrestlers.
844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307, 71307. Want you to comment, why do you watch it? Why do you, if you do, and why don't you, if you don't? I'm curious. Both directions. Why do you watch it? Why don't you watch it? One texter says, I remember going to Greenville Memorial Stadium in 1985, watching the Rock and Roll Express and the Road Warriors. Love wrestling. Your show is awesome. That's from Mike. This show, Lonzo, is awesome. Quick break. When we come back, we got to start getting into WrestleMania picks for the weekend. We'll break down NXT TakeOver Night 2 and a whole lot more. A special Friday edition of Lonzo's Fight Club is next on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
Harley.
Yep.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
Harley Davidson of Greenville is open right now. 30 Chrome Drive. It is one of the most beautiful stores that I have ever seen. The first time I walked in there to go meet Chesley and the gang at Harley Davidson of Greenville, I was blown away. The shop is spotless. It is immaculate. It is enormous. The selection of motorcycles, brand new 2021s they have in shape there, will blow your mind. And they've got a second showroom just for the largest pre-owned inventory in the entire upstate, with over 180 bikes in stock now for you to pick one. And when I started talking to the folks at Upstate Harley, you could tell that every person who works for Harley Davidson of Greenville, who is there, whether they are working on bikes, selling bikes, working on the show floor, wherever it is, they have a passion for these motorcycles. It's not just that they're in there to do a job. Sure, they are, but they are there because they love the Harley brand, the Harley lifestyle, and it is a lifestyle. And it doesn't matter what your background is. You can be like me, just a normal dude who loves football, basketball, and beer. Harley is for you. My dad was a mortgage lender. He was a dork for many years. Then he got on the back of a Harley Davidson Road King, and suddenly my dad was cool. My mom was on the back of a Harley Davidson motorcycle. She was cool. It doesn't matter what your lifestyle is, where you come from. There is a Harley Davidson that will welcome you into the Harley Davidson lifestyle, and I promise you, you will never look back. That first ride through the Blue Ridge Parkway on the back of a brand new Harley, with that wind in your hair and the blue skies ahead of you, it will make you reevaluate life. I mean that. I've been riding for years now, and that is why I wanted to get in with Harley Davidson of Greenville, and that is why I am proud to be working with Harley Davidson of Greenville. See their entire inventory online right now. Learn how you can get in on the Harley Davidson lifestyle by going to upstateharley.com, upstateharley.com, or check out their showroom at 30 Chrome Drive in Greenville. 30 Chrome Drive. It's our friends at Harley Davidson of Greenville.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on ESPN Upstate. Baseball on Thursday, the Red Sox 7-3 winners over the Orioles. The Mets beat the Marlins 3-2. This afternoon, Joe Ross gets the start for the Nationals against the Dodgers on the road. Corey Kluber starts for the Yankees at Tampa. Atlanta's home opener today, righty Charlie Morton gets the nod against the Phillies and righty Zach Wheeler. The Hurricanes remain hot. They shut out the Panthers.
Thank you. I am going to share something with the stream right now. I think this is the right one. Yep. Check this out. So this is from my buddy Red. Red lives in Greer. This, Lonzo, that you were about to see on the screen right here, this is DMX in Greer. According to Red, this is at the old Village Bar and Grill in Greer. This is DMX singing karaoke, and Zoe, it is absolutely not what I ultimately expected it to be. always gone too. Anytime she goes away. Look at my dude.
Yeah, you don't think of rappers busting out the classics like he is. That's awesome.
DMX. That's incredible. Oh, that's incredible. Imagine being at karaoke one night and DMX rolls in, and you're expecting him when he signs up. Of course, DMX is gonna sing DMX at karaoke. He says, "Nope, Bill Withers, Ain't No Sunshine" is the song. I respect that out of DMX, man. I really do. R.I.P. DMX. That's exactly right, Brian. Oh, but dude, some of DMX's stuff was the weight room vintage classic stuff when I was a kid. Zoe, you got Fight Club for the next two segments? Just WrestleMania and NXT stuff?
Yeah, you kind of dropped that on me when I thought that you were going to be leading the thing, and
I thought about it, but this is an excuse for you to play your intro again.
Okay.
I mean, unless you don't want to.
No. I don't mind, but I'm having to find the card and everything, which I did not have up. So
the card? Oh, the cart with the intro in it.
No. The card, as in
WrestleMania card.
Yeah, which I just found, so I'm good.
Okay, I'll say I've got it saved. I can pull it up for you. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
I'm also going back and forth with engineering about the phones, so which are still not up, by the way. As soon as I get off the air, I need to go and find out if they're working anywhere else in the building.
Enough to beat me.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart, I want to eat his children.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants. I'm a bad man.
Speaking of a bad man, I just got my headphones on at the last second because they were tangled. Real world problems that, a lot of people don't understand. Welcome into the Fight Club. Hey, WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania weekend. I don't know if I like the idea that it's on for 2 nights, probably because one of those nights I have to be on the air and I won't be at home watching until later. And I do want to point out, if you have Peacock, you cannot rewind when a live show is going on. So in my case, when I get home tomorrow night, I cannot watch WrestleMania night 1 from the beginning unless I wait till it's over. And I'm not about to do that because that's just crazy. All right, last night, NXT TakeOver 2, I'd have to say that it was better than the first night. Wouldn't you think so, Rob? I mean, because
slightly, I would say yes, but slightly. I thought night number 1 had some good moments, but the Gargano fight and the Cole O'Reilly fight, I think, pulled it out.
I also want to say that the Escobar and Jordan Devlin, even though that there was interruption, at the end of that match. It's a ladder match. It was a really good match. Escobar is on the ladder and he throws Devlin off and he breaks a ladder in half. I was pretty scared because it looked like Escobar was looking like, oh my God, I think I've killed him. I don't know if you noticed the hesitation, and there was hesitation, like almost like maybe he wasn't supposed to win or something. And he was trying to figure out what to do. And he was just looking over there really, really concerned. And for a while, Devlin wasn't moving. And, any ladder match is extremely, extremely dangerous. And the way his neck was moving, it was very weird. And I've never seen a hesitation like that before.
Not that this diminishes anything, but if you go back and look, I'm 99% sure that ladder was made of wood, so it gave way easier. And anytime you go through a wood ladder, it's going to look far less or far more vicious because of the way it breaks than if you get kind of collapsed through a steel ladder. Either way, those two put on a heck of a fight. I think they had Legado del Fantasma interfere just long enough for it to be he didn't win clean match, but not long enough that it was going to, if you have them interfere for too long, it kind of takes away from the credibility of that match. And I think they stayed away just long enough to give it the edge, not long enough to ruin the match. I thought it was fantastic.
Finn Balor and Karrion Kross was a really good match. And it, pretty much, I think our predictions went, we did pretty well at that. But it was a really good match. It absolutely was. And, Finn Balor needed to lose the belt. He's had it for a while. And Karrion Kross, it was a shame when he won the belt, he had to relinquish like the very next night because of injury. And Finn Balor knows a lot about that as the first Universal Champion who had to also relinquish his belt like the next night. So really, really good match. But the match of the night, of course, is what we thought it would be. And it's Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly. We talked about this a little bit on the stream. I thought it went a little too long, but there were some parts in this match, some things that we've kind of seen but never seen before. When they went through the ramp, I don't recall a match where they actually go through the ramp. That was pretty cool. It was, but the best part was Adam Cole going to the side of the ramp and taking his foot and busting through to pull Kyle O'Reilly out.
Yeah, that was a moment. We've seen plenty of guys get slammed onto the catwalk there and not go through it. So it kind of added the emphasis of what was happening there. That chair spot to end that match. Whoo! That was that looked dangerous. That looked genuinely dangerous. But a great fight. We talked about it earlier. You said maybe it would dragged on just a hair too long. I don't agree. I think you can go as long as you want, as long as the match continues to escalate. If you get to a match that long and there's any point where the energy seems to plateau, I think it can die off. There was a spot where O'Reilly looked like he was just being dragged to the end of his career by Cole, and I was worried about it, but then he got up and got the flurry going at just the right time. I thought they continued to escalate the stakes of that match throughout its duration, which is why I was fine with it. I think that's an NXT match. We will be, anytime we talk about greatest NXT matches of all time, that will be mentioned up towards the top of the list, no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure. So NXT 1 and 2, what night 1, night 2, what kind of grade would you give that?
Night 1, I would give a B. Night 2, an A-, maybe a solid A. I thought there were a couple of parts that slowed it down just a little bit here and there. Here's one thing I want to get away from in pay-per-views. The backstage interview with like MSK, as much as I like MSK, it just kind of came at a weird spot, and it just kind of dulled. You built all the, and I know you got to have cool-off spots in shows to let the crowd kind of reset so that they can kind of reorganize themselves for the next match.
Except for there really wasn't that much of a crowd.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like that MSK interview just kind of came across as like wrong place, wrong time for it. But I know even after a year, they're still kind of feeling out what it's like to be in a spot where, all right, there's more people here than there have been. So you've got a little bit more of a feel of a live crowd, but we still got to play to a TV audience. It was just kind of there were just some oddly timed breaks in the momentum in that tournament that kind of took away from it a little bit for me.
One last thing that kind of threw me off as far as that goes, and I agree with your grading, was Ember Moon doing what she did during the match. Is like, why is she doing the DX chop? And then I found out later why, and it's a tribute to Road Dogg, who recently had heart problems. And from what I just read, he's doing better. And so I'm like, why? It just seems so out of place at the time. And then you read later on the reason why she did it. And
as a smart back in the day, who was ordered to change T-shirts when I wore a Suck It T-shirt to middle school one day.
As well, you should have.
Anytime that somebody throws the X down at an opponent in a match, immediately on their side for the rest of it. I thought it was great.
Well, you figured that match was going to go the way it was. Now we've got WrestleMania night 1 and night 2 coming up. I don't know. You want to take a break first, or do you want to?
Yeah, let's do that. I'll tell you what, and we may even forsake Twitter trending topics and just take night 1 next segment, night 2 final segment. I think that'll work. So let's do that. Lonzo's at the helm. My name's Rob Brown. It's WrestleMania hour. You got any thoughts? Call him in, text him in 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Quick break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
Your chance to bank $1,000 in $1,000.
Did you have you peeped the new profile picture?
Not only did I peep it, but I liked it.
For those of you on the stream, boom, your boy, heavyweight champ of the world. That was at what was it? Was it 30 and what was it? 35 that was in New Orleans? I think that was at 35. There was
the more recent one I was tempted to go to because I still have never been to a WrestleMania.
It was a blast. Although I will tell you at 30, which was the close to the Daniel Bryan chapter with Batista and Orton in the ring, which was incredible. I've been in the New Orleans Superdome for Saints playoff games, regular season games. I've been in there for LSU championship games. I've been in there for all kinds of games and events and concerts. The coolest thing, Zoe, that I've ever seen in person was Daniel Bryan standing on the announcer's table doing the yes with both belts and having 77,000 people all throwing up the yes chant with him at the same time. You could look, it was kind of cool. You could see the ripple of the yes chant going up through the stands from the bottom to the top. But in that, funny enough, in that same show, that was, of course, the WrestleMania where Brock ended the Undertaker's undefeated WrestleMania streak. Lonzo, when that 3 count happened and Brock left the stage and Brock's music was done playing and it was just Undertaker lying in the ring and you could tell there was something wrong. I've been in the Superdome when it has been empty and I have never heard it that eerily quiet at that moment. There would be a guy in the rafters on the other side of the 77,000 plus seat Superdome who would yell, "Thank you, Undertaker." And you could hear it as if he was sitting next to you. It was creepy how quiet it was.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were actually there for that. All I know is how angry I was. It's why end the streak? And I know it's building Brock Lesnar, but he didn't need to be built up anymore. No. I will never understand that move ever.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Undertaker's a guy who's going to go out on his back, right? He's a guy that's going to go out eating an L to a young star. And I think one of two things happened. Number one was that Undertaker clearly had a mild concussion or something because the back half of that match, he just did not look stable. Or number two was that Undertaker genuinely thought that was it for him. He was retiring after 30. He was walking away. And so he took the L as a retirement adios. And then after he was done, he just had that second thought of, well, maybe I got another send-off in me.
I would have thought he would have went if he was going to lose. It would have been the Triple H or Shawn Michaels or someone like that.
Nah, he's a guy that's going to put over a young talent. And at the time,
but he's not. He wasn't young though.
Well, I understand, but Brock was still the future, right? Brock was Vince's future. He had just signed a contract for another couple of years. He was supposed to be the next big thing, and I honestly think they were looking at possibly starting a Brock streak at that point. So going up, what does it do for Triple H to be the one who breaks Taker's streak? It's a nice send-off story, but there's no rub coming from that. Taker's the guy who's going to put over young talent, not young, but the future, and Brock was at the time. Oh, trust me, I hated it. I was there with the girl I was dating at the time, and I just kind of slumped back in the chair, and she was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, I mean, it's wrestling, I guess.
Even still, what we've been talking about the entire hour, yeah, we know that it's scripted, but that shocked a lot of people.
It's still real to me, damn it.
It shocked a lot of people. It made a lot of people mad. A lot of people still mad about that. I would say that some people are more angry about that than they are the screw job.
I absolutely am.
because I've watched a ton of things, including whatever that Behind the Wrestling thing or whatever it is on Vice. I just happened to watch another one of those the other day about the screw job.
Right.
I still think it was planned. I think it was written. "30 seconds. I agree with Keegan. I've never been a Lesnar fan. The only time I like Lesnar is when he broke up laughing. Thanks to R-Truth. That's the only time I've ever liked him.
I love Brock. I have no issue with Brock.
Pathetic junkies. Oh, look at them.
You eat sports like food every day. Get hooked on the Rob Brown Show, noon to 3 every weekday on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. 2 more segments as we break through it. Zoe, I know we're kind of pushed up against time, so take it over. Night number 1.
All right. Yes. Night number 1 tomorrow night at 8:00 on the Peacock Network, starting with Tag Team Turmoil, the Riot Squad versus Lana and Naomi versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, which is an awesome interview, by the way, and Natalya and Tamina Snuka. This is just it's a waste of time, but I am going to go with it's a waste of time because we talked about how they're not handling the tag teams for women rights in on the main card. So I'm going to go with Lana and Naomi to win.
Love Lana. Love Lana. She is ravishing indeed, but give me the Riot Squad. I love the Riot Squad. I'm a full-fledged member of the Riot Squad. I am glad that they have brought those two back together, and Ruby Riot is one of my favorites. Give me the Riot Squad.
I hope you're right. All right, Cesaro versus Seth Rollins should be an excellent match. Looking forward to this in some ways, but Seth Rollins going back to basically mid card. I know they're building up Cesaro, but are they really? Him going up against Seth Rollins? This is just like we need to get some of our stars to wrestle. So let's just have these two wrestle.
Yeah, I kind of felt a little contrived.
By the way,
at the beginning.
Cesaro wins.
This is one of those spots that I'm going to forgive the contrived match because it's going to be an incredible match. 2 of the better wrestlers on the entire company. Yeah, I'm going to go with Cesaro wins because he needs it. If he loses this match, the dude's been floundering for a while, which sucks because he would be one of the best talents on the roster. But he either wins here or his time at WWE is coming to a close.
How many spins you got?
Let's go set the over-under at, well, it's a big match. It's a WrestleMania match. Set the over-under at 21.5.
I'm gonna go 30.
Ooh.
I think you're right. It's WrestleMania, and there are actually going to be some fans there.
True
so
story.
You got fan service.
It's more
all right.
exciting when they're counting out loud, but out of time.
Absolutely. But at least you can look out and see them counting as opposed to piped in counting.
True story.
All right. So the next match is the one that you do not want to watch, but I am interested in, and that is Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a steel cage match. And here's the reason why. As someone who was picked on and bullied a lot, seeing how this is, I get mad. I really get mad when Shane McMahon is calling Braun Strowman stupid, because people have called me dumb because of how my voice sounds all my life. And I've been on the air for a long time. So how you feel people call me stupid, although I guess you don't have to be a genius to be on the air, but still being picked
Clearly,
on,
I'm here.
being picked on because of, it just bothers me. And I want to see the bully get his, and I want to see Braun Strowman totally destroy Shane McMahon. And once again, please don't die, Shane. We know you're going to do something stupid. Don't die.
I would be cool with that story if the bullying wasn't like literally the same bullying of an elementary schooler. Look, it's a fake report card. Braun got a D. He's so dumb. Like, if you actually bullied Braun, it would be so much more compelling. But dumping Nickelodeon slime on him hey, Braun's humiliated. No, he's, come on, man. This guy used to flip ambulances and throw Brock Lesnar around the ring, and now he's fighting Shane McMahon. Cool.
Yeah, well, you got to.
Wins, by the way.
Yeah, Braun is going to win this match, and hopefully it will be brutal. All right, the next match is Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus The Miz and John Morrison. You know, for the gimmick match, it shouldn't be as entertaining as it is, but when they painted that car. I don't remember what it's called. It's something I've never seen.
No,
yeah,
it wasn't a Miata.
It was a Maserati.
Those are very different cars.
Yes, they are, and yes, a much different. I've never been close to a Maserati, nor do I think I ever will be. And the fact that they painted up the Maserati, I think it added something to it. Bad Bunny, I'm glad he's not wrestling single against The Miz like it was originally going to be. The fact that it's a tag team, they're going to be able to hide him some. I think it's going to be entertaining for a gimmick match.
Yeah, I think it will be too. And typically when you have these celebrity gimmick matches, the celebrity wins. So I will go ahead and say Priest and Bunny win.
Or you should say Priest wins, really.
True.
But yeah.
If there's anybody who's going to take Bad Bunny and make him look like a star, it's The Miz. I agree. I think it'll be entertaining, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's what The Miz does. Whether you like him or not, he's really good at what he does. And, this is a guy who they tried to get out of wrestling, was shunned in the locker room and stuff, and he's persevered, and now he's, a major star. All right, the next match is The New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos. I want to see if Omos can wrestle. I really do. We've seen him for a while, going back to that illegal fight thing that they were doing for a while, where he was the bouncer at the door, and kept thinking, man, can this guy wrestle? Can this guy be like the Big Show, be like Kevin Nash, be like one of those big guys in the ring? Can he move? The fact that we haven't seen him do anything really other than throw people, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to pick them to win just because I think Omos will surprise everybody and be able to move better than we think.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they win as well. I think it will be it'll be very interesting. There's not been encouraging reports about his actual in-ring talent, but he's one of those cats that sometimes you can just be big and throw people through things, and it's entertaining. So I'm gonna be entertaining.
All right. So normally I'm not excited about Sasha Banks' match. I'm just not a big Sasha Banks fan. But she's going up against the EST.
The EST.
And I am an EST fan. Bianca Belair, love her story. Love her husband also. I think he is an awesome talent. And but watching, they've shown a lot of behind the scenes and on the network, what used to be the network and is now Peacock, of her coming up and all the things that she did as a youth. And I just really like her. And she's got the look, she's got the chops, she's got the talent. She's going to win this match.
Bianca Belair, you don't build this story up and have her lose at WrestleMania. You don't do it, especially with the emotional reactions that she's been having in the ring about talking to her parents and all that. You don't do it. This is going to be an incredible women's match too, because you're right. She is, it's one of the few nicknames I love. She is the BEST right now. Give me Bianca in this one too.
All right. And finally, before we go to break, WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. You're probably not going to like where I come from this, but I think Bobby Lashley is being built up just so Drew McIntyre can beat him. This is
like it. I agree with you entirely.
This is more about McMahon's prophecy coming to fruition. And although a lot of people, who knows how crowds would have reacted. I mean, you can see things on the internet, but we don't know how crowds legitimately would have reacted because there were no crowds for an entire year during this buildup. And this is all about Drew McIntyre. It's not about Bobby Lashley. And I believe that McIntyre is going to win this, and he may not win clean. It may be some hurt business, getting some revenge on Lashley causing the loss, but McIntyre wins.
Let's be real. The only reason the Hurt Business broke up is because the fans were cheering for Bobby and the Hurt Business. They had gotten over with a great gimmick, and it hurt poor Vince's little feelings that he wanted Drew to be the good guy and Bob to be the bad guy, and the crowds chose Bobby Lashley, so he broke up the best gimmick stable in the last few years in the Hurt Business just to protect his own feelings. This right here, Zoe, is exactly the illustration of why WWE is losing ground to AEW. This right here, because Vince's feelings are more important. Quick break. We'll come back and get night number 2 as much as we can in on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Yep.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say play ESPN Upstate.
Prisma Health in the Upstate. They are the official healthcare providers for the Tigers and the Gamecocks, and they want to be the official healthcare provider of you. Let's be real. I have been around here long enough to understand that Clemson and South Carolina fans, they genuinely don't agree on a whole heck of a lot, do they? No, of course they don't. So because of the fact that they agree on utilizing Prisma as the official healthcare provider for all of their athletics, I got to tell you, it was an easy decision for yours truly. I've had to visit a couple of doctors since I've been here, and one of the things I've enjoyed is that with 2,400 plus medical providers in their healthcare network, I have been able to find doctors that I like, doctors that I trust, and doctors that I can get to know and work with so that they can know me, my healthcare needs, and what I need to stay healthy. I have enjoyed using Prisma since I got here, and I know that it'll be same for you. Go to their website, prismahealth.org, prismahealth.org. You can find a location convenient to you. You can schedule an appointment. You can look through and find the doctor that works best for you and your family. Prisma Health, the official healthcare provider of the University of South Carolina and Clemson. Check them out online at prismahealth.org, prismahealth.org. It's Prisma Health right here in the upstate.
From the 106.3 WORD Weather Center, here's the Upstate's most trusted forecast on ESPN Upstate. We'll see a few spotty showers and thunderstorms possible late this afternoon with partial sunshine developing a high around 81. Tonight, slight chance for showers and storms, a low near 60. Saturday, chance for showers, a high of 75. And Sunday, slight chance for rain, a high of 75. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 75.
Okay, so you can't throw a football 90 yards like an NFL QB and get paid the big bucks?
I'm down to be great right now.
No sweat. All you need is 2 ears, a texting finger, and your radio locked on ESPN Upstate with a $1,000 cash stash. Listen every hour from 7 A to 5 P. Weekdays for the keyword. Then text it to 72881. Text and data rates apply in this national contest. You could be the winner of a big chunk of dough 11 times a day. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better bet. Download the BetQL app today.
I'm Chris Walls, and I'm a truck driver from Missouri. For 13 hours a night, I sit in my truck and I drive. Out of boredom, I'll stop and eat. If I'm not doing fast food, I guarantee there's a bag of chips open on my dashboard. That was all until Andro 400. I started out 4 months ago, and since taking Andro 400, I have dropped 45 pounds. I'm sleeping better. There's no cravings. I actually don't even think about food. My knee pain
All right,
went
I'm
away.
thinking maybe we have time for one match, maybe two.
I've noticed that went away,
let's
and
just
I
fly
can only
through
contribute
picks.
that to
Okay.
Andro 400.
Just list them.
One
We'll
thing
give
that
our
Andro
pick
400
like
said on the
10
radio
seconds
ad
of
says that it
breakdown.
attacks belly fat. Well, let me tell you,
Okay.
it did. The second month is where I saw a drastic change in the size of my
Maybe
stomach.
we do like
I've
a live
lost 6 inches.
stream,
This
maybe
product
Sunday
really
morning
does
to break
work.
down
So
night one and
guys,
talk night
if
two.
you'd like to experience similar results,
If you
That works for me.
Andro
Yeah,
400,
yeah, I'm down with that.
the safe, natural,
I mean, I'd do it tomorrow, but you know why I can't.
Yeah,
So.
yeah,
boost your
that's what I'm saying, Sunday morning,
testosterone.
yeah.
Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435. 888-400-0435.
Ingalls is a proud supporter of Radiothon to benefit Prisma Health Children's Hospital Upstate. You can help by purchasing a paper icon at any Upstate South Carolina Ingalls store for just $1. Your donation will help provide life-saving services to the children in our area.
Are you overwhelmed by IRS debt you can't pay? Act now or your paycheck savings.
I agree with Keegan. I'm sorry there wasn't a promo off either.
Yeah, I was thinking about it last night, and I talked myself in for a handful of reasons of why I didn't think I was going to be able to pull it off today. So we'll still come back to it, but I needed to put more work into it this week than I did to make it work, and that's my fault.
No, see, the answer is you should blame me because it's my fault. I apologize to all the listeners that were expecting it, but I dropped the ball and I'll do better in the future.
Cut a promo on you, not cutting a promo.
Let me point to that sign right there, like one last time. Probably should go ahead and take it down.
No, you should hang it up for your stream on Saturday night.
I could do that. I just want to also point out that I don't recall ever seeing Rob sign.
You didn't.
1 minute.
3 times to make it. I kept coming up short. And then I just I wanted to make it this morning, but I forgot. You ever done that? You ever gone on air and then realized that you completely forgot to get ready for something that you wanted to do? I did.
Yes, I have done that.
Yep.
Then we improvise.
Yep.
I hope to get these phones fixed. If not, Mark Ryan's not going to be happy because he's not going to be able to have any guests. All right, Gary, come back.
10-4.
We're going to have like literally a minute and a half. All right, I guess I'll jump in here real quick. We've got like a minute left in the show, and we wanted to get through these really quick. This is a Rob Brown show, by the way. I'm Lonzo. He's Rob. Okay, Women's Tag Team Championship between Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, and whoever they're facing, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler win.
Yeah, I think you're right.
All right, United States Championship, Riddle versus Sheamus. I'm going with the stoner, Riddle.
I'm going Sheamus in this one. I think that they're going to set Riddle up for an underdog run and maybe turn him heel. I think Sunday night might be the night he turns.
All right, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. I don't want to, but I'm going to say Sami Zayn somehow wins.
Fight forever. Just give me this match every wrestling show until I die. Give me KO. Fat Boys can do it too.
I hope you're right. All right, Nigerian drum fight, whatever that is, for the Intercontinental Championship. Big E versus Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews wins this. I hate it.
Such an insulting gimmick for Apollo Crews. still don't understand it. And yes, he wins.
All right, Randy Orton versus The Fiend. I don't think there is a winner in this, but except for all of us for getting to see it. But if there is a winner, it'll be The Fiend.
Fiend no-sells everything. He becomes an 80s horror slasher villain. Fiend wins.
All right, real quick. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. Asuka.
I'll take Rhea Ripley. I think they've built her up to be the future of the women's side. I love her.
All right, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Edge. Roman Reigns is still the champ.
I think they're going to give Edge one more run, but I think he's going to become ruthless bad guy Edge, and I'm here for it. Is that it? That's it, right? There you go. There's your card. There's your breakdown. Zoe and I will do a stream Sunday morning, but before we do, let's give you another chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 Cash Dash on ESPN Upstate. Your keyword for this upcoming hour is going to be taxi, T-A-X-I, and I can buy a car and not have to take a taxi again. Text taxi, T-A-X-I, to 72881, powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text taxi, T-A-X-Y, to 72881. Have a great weekend, everybody. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Happy WrestleMania weekend. We'll have the breakdown for you on Monday. For Zoe, I'm Rob. Thanks for listening to The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Later.